Hello everyone, good evening, and welcome to episode 30 of Never Before Seen. My name is AmberCyprian, I will be your host tonight as we bring you speedruns of games that have never before been seen in a mainline GDQ event. As always with this show, if you happen to speedrun a game or category that has never been run in an AGDQ, SGDQ, or GDQx event, and you would like to submit it to the show, type !NBS into the chat to find the link to be able to send me your runs, and I would love to have you on board. And before we get started with the runs that we have planned for tonight, we do have a few announcements. Two quick ones. First and foremost, SGDQ 2022 remote volunteer applications are coming up. And if you'd like to help with any of our off-site volunteering positions, go to GamestoneQuick.com for more information. Registration is also open until May 23rd, so be sure to register if you will be attending our live event in Minnesota. The games list is out. Check it out if you go to GamestoneQuick.com, and stay tuned for the schedule coming out later this weekend. I believe that is on April 30th, but you can get all the dates on GamestoneQuick.com. And secondly, Frame Fatales. That series will be having its next all-women speedrunning event, Flame Fatales, in late August. The game and volunteer submissions open on May 9th, so go to GamestoneQuick.com/Frame Fatales for more information. So tonight here on Never Before Seen, we're continuing the celebration of May the 4thteenth. That's what I'm calling it. And as I am joined by Zojulix and his commentators Rylan and Slade for Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. And later on tonight, we'll be taking a trip to Eorzea, I can say it, with Railcoon as they demonstrate that you can in fact speedrun the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV. So, Zoj, how are you doing on this wonderful night? And thank you so much for being on the show.
I'm so excited. I absolutely love this category and this game. This is one of my most dedicated speed games. At least on Steam, I have a little over 200 hours, but I know that is significantly more just from how much time I've even spent researching and stuff. Yeah, I'm really excited to bring out all holocrons. This is a category that I am the only runner for. I took this category from a 143, and it is now down to a 114. So I cannot wait to show this off. Also, in celebration of May the 14th, I have this Jedi robe that my grandma made for me and my brothers when we were like 6 years old or something like that.
Yeah, because I was like, the hood looks a little small.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Like, that is adorable. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I love it.
So it's about the time when the prequels were coming out, and so we were huge into Star Wars. So to be able to watch, to now be able to show this off just means a whole lot to me. So yeah, I'm joined by two amazing commentators. Well, actually, I'll just go ahead and let them introduce themselves because they're kind of hiding.
Right.
So
we hear that they are in hiding.
Yes, I'll go first. Hi, I'm Slade, everybody. I am a big co-op partner of Zojulix here. I do a lot of speedruns with him or other shenanigans that he drags me along with.
Very accurate.
Pretty much.
I'm Rylan. Same. But I also run Two Towers, the Lord of the Rings game.
And that's my main speed game, and I decided to drag along Rylan because he's super close to getting Twitch affiliate, so we want to kind of push him a little bit more to get to that area. So, I almost dropped my controller as I set it on my lap. All right, so...
That's relatable.
Oh, yes, of course. So one thing before we get this run started that I want to clarify is throughout this game there are going to be no FMV cutscenes. And the reason for that is this game, at least the PC port of this game, is kind of prone to crashing. So as a community, we allowed the removal of the FMV cutscenes because we figured out that taking them out of the game prevents the crashes. I don't know why, because the only thing that the FMVs did was mask loading screens. But taking them out removes the crashing. So, here we are for Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2, one of the best speed games that you guys have never heard of, because there are very few runners of it, and I'm so excited to be able to show this off. So we are going to get it started here in 3, 2, 1, go. So, this game is going to be starting off with a tutorial here. The game likes to do everything in threes. Basically what's going to be happening is we're going to be taking out 3 little robots here, and then we are going to be coming over here. So we're at a pretty solid angle while we are finishing off, waiting for these tutorial prompts to show up, and then we can use Force Lightning to finish these up. We managed to do it without hitting Juno, which is really good, because if we did hit her, then we would lose a few seconds for getting this weird random flashback, and Starkiller would get a headache. But because the FMV is gone, you wouldn't actually see the flashback, so it's just kind of this flash. So kind of a little bit of a plot as we get started in this run is Starkiller here is supposedly a clone of the original, because this is a sequel to the first game, which follows the light side ending, which has Starkiller being killed. But Darth Vader takes his DNA and tries to create clones of him. This clone, however, is unique because video game, and he is basically as perfect of a clone as you can get, aside from he can't get over his love for Juno Eclipse. And so here Starkiller is going to have a flashback that's not going to exist because this flashback is an FMV, but the rest of the cutscene is in engine. And so Starkiller is going to be a little angry because he knows that Vader is prone to betrayal, and we're just going to blast a hole in the wall and run away. And now, after we've gone through this cutscene, we can now get started with actually playing the game. We're going to be doing this falling section here, and there will be, the falling section will be just a lot of kind of mashing left bumper, but we don't want to just purely mash, because if we do, we will mess up timing. And the reason for that is left bumper is our force dash, but what it also does is it surrounds us in force, which prevents us from taking damage, so we can just fly through all of the obstacles and not get hit, which unfortunately that TIE fighter still hit us, but we're fine. So now we're just going to do a quick little superhero landing and get ready. We're going to destroy this whole room. It's fine. I'm sure the building is insured. Do a quick little lightning combo to finish everybody off, checking to make sure no random enemy got stuck, because if an enemy gets stuck, then it will soft lock the game. So we're going to just dash over here. That skips a little 10-second cutscene. And then gonna almost die there because I'm risky, but we'll be fine. And we'll have another small skip coming up here. So this game is going to teach us to use force grip. It wants us to grab that platform, and we're just like, yeah, no. So since this is all holocrons, I have to make sure to grab holocrons. And that's, well, the stipulation for this. This kind of works as your own, as the 100% category of this game, because there isn't actually any percentage tracker. But since there are the holocrons that we can collect in the game, we do the holocrons as the category. So now I'm going to explain the movement, because the movement is actually super crazy. And I'm really excited to be able to show off the movement. So what we're doing primarily for our movement is force dashing. But with each force dash, there is this animation of Starkiller kind of like stopping, and he has to take like a stutter step before he can dash again. But what we do, because we're speedrunners, is if I jump and then dash again immediately afterwards, it cancels out that animation and allows us to just keep continuously dashing with like maybe a split second of a little animation there. It ends up, it's super fast, and I'm really glad that I started running this game after dash canceling was found, because the community ran this game without it, and the animations are just not, it doesn't feel as fluid doing it this way. So we're coming up here now on our first major skip in the run, so go ahead, Slade.
Alright, so what's gonna happen here is basically we're gonna get to basically a bunch of turrets, or a walkway that we're gonna get to. And so we're just going to basically jump onto a turret. We're gonna do a well-timed double jump onto a turret because we don't want to go anywhere else. But And so after that, after we get out of the turret, then we're going to jump over an invisible wall and pretty much slap our face against the shield to reset our jump counter. Just so we can get more jumps, and do it repeated a bunch of amounts until we get to the elevator at the very end over here.
Yeah, it's really fast. It's really awesome. Saves multiple minutes. So what we just saw right there is a little mini skip. If we do a 3-hit air combo, it will extend our hitboxes just a little bit, and it extends it just enough so that way we're able to get over on top of a platform the game wouldn't normally want us to get to. So that makes getting the getting that holocron, that EXP holocron there a lot easier. And so here we're just going to throw these TIE fighters into this pillar, because we need this pillar to fall. I'm going to throw it. Once it hits that, I'm going to quit out of the game and go back in. What this does is it will allow for this cutscene that we have of the... okay, what just happened there? I've never dashed under the platform before.
Can someone call Kung Fu Fruit Cup host of That's Never Happened Before, please?
Yeah, that was interesting. So another thing that we do is this game runs on, headphone warning, by the way. We get this really weird audio glitch whenever we activate Force Rage. I should have pre-warned that earlier, but anyway. What happens is also, this game runs on a loadless timer. So what happens with the loadless timer is you don't have to worry about running with very specific hardware. And so it makes this game a lot more accessible. So yeah, it's nice. And there's certain things that we reload checkpoints and stuff for, specifically to pause our timer in order to skip cutscenes and just have the timer be paused in an unskippable cutscene. So now here we are at Kato Namoida. We are going to go and save our evil, not evil. Why did I say evil? Slave, who are we saving? My brain is broken.
We're saving basically our master. Master/friend, pretty much.
Yeah, that's who we're saving. That's right.
Oh, me.
You?
No, not you.
He said friend. That's me.
Yeah, but you're also not /master, so no.
You don't know.
I'm like 90%
No,
certain
I do
you're not master. So those enemies that we just killed, those guys are Sith acolytes. They're immune to force powers, but we can grapple them and just yeet them off the edge. It's pretty easy to do and a ton of fun. So just gonna come over here, grab this holocron. That stormtrooper blocked my dash. What a rude person. Starkiller's gonna get a quick headache, and then we're gonna do here what's called a long jump, which is I'm going to dash, jump, and then dash again, allowing me to skip having to cut off a platform. Now here, if I'm extra fast, I was not, unfortunate. I could have gotten there before that shield showed up, but it did not. So now we're going to come over here, grab that holocron. The nice part about running all holocrons is there really are not too many holocrons that are super out of the way. They're just kind of a little bit. So another thing too about the weird aspects of the PC port of this game is sometimes we go so fast that the game cannot spawn enemies. I don't know why. I think it has to do with how many enemies it generates at one time. And so this cutscene load here was, or this checkpoint reload here, was specifically so that way we could have enemies spawned. Otherwise, the game would be soft locked. And so we got a quick throw upgrade here that allows us to just destroy these rock walkers really quickly. And then once they're dead, we're going to reload the checkpoint again. Because this elevator here, when it reloads, if we don't reload the checkpoint, we can't go into the elevator until we kill those guys. But if we reload the checkpoint, the elevator is fine and we can go. There's so many really random things about this game that don't really make sense, but they are really nice from a speedrunning perspective.
I like the casual elevator
yeah.
ride. Nice break.
Yeah, it's a nice, there are nice little like relaxing parts in the run too, because it's a lot of, between the movement tech and going from damage boost to damage boost, the early part of the run is very fast. And it just keeps going and keeps going.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits about this game.
So here we got another superhero landing. That poor table. It was a nice table.
Yeah, but the Empire owned it, so is it really a nice table?
I mean, we could have stolen it instead of destroyed it. Then we would have had a nice pool table.
But we ended up just destroying it. So Starkiller is just gonna complete a lot of vandalism here. There's a reason why the whole place is going into like martial law and lockdown and all that kind of stuff. In order to clear this casino, we have to kill a specific amount of... I don't know exactly what... Like, I know killing enemies causes the shield to drop. I don't know which enemies you have to kill, though, because it's different every single time. I wish it made sense. Oh, hey, look, it worked. And I know that I got it because in the bottom right corner, there will be those... the checkpoint will show, and that will let me know that the... thing is about to work. Yeah, that's the words I'm using.
Yep, makes sense to me.
So coming up here, we have the door to end all doors. This door is... The reason why this door is... Actually, no, this isn't the door to end all doors, but this door is a pretty intense section of RNG. And the reason for that is this Carbonite droid here can be an absolute pain. He seemed to actually behave perfectly. Oh my goodness gracious. That was amazing.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever gotten that good of RNG in a run.
I love it when RNG is very kind to people during showcases because that's like usually the polar opposite of what happens.
Yeah, I know.
What happens when it doesn't go well?
Typically, if it doesn't go well, the Carbonite droid will just hit you a bunch and you'll get knocked over and he'll just kind of bash you around and then you just kind of want to sit in a corner and cry because you want to get through the door, but the droid's like, nah, we're not going to let you. And sometimes he'll freeze you in Carbonite, or he'll just hit you and make you fall over.
Oh, we almost
It
had
is a
like
very
a Zoj-
depressing time.
We almost had like a Zoj sickle.
You did almost
been
have
nice.
a Zoj sickle, which is one of my emotes, believe it or not. Shout outs to the Midwest Speed Quest community who decided to call me a popsicle so much that it became an emote.
Wait, what?
So...
Here, I got it. I got it.
In context, while we're in an auto-scroller, during Midwinter Speed Sprinter 2019, I left on the second day rather than the third because there was a blizzard that was coming through. Thanks, Minnesota. And so I left and I made somebody in the Discord had said something about staying up to watch their Pikmin run. And he was saying that there was root beer for anybody who was willing to stay up. And I was like, I sent a snarky message saying, oh, I'd love some. I'll be down in a bit. And he was like, you're not even here, you popsicle. And I was like, what the heck? And so apparently because I left, I was called a popsicle. And even when I would donate things, they would say, oh, this is exactly what a popsicle would say.
Yeah, you do give off popsicle vibes, don't you?
I guess I get
it.
popsicle
I get
vibes.
it.
I don't
What
honestly
even
know.
are popsicle vibes?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's tall and skinny.
Have you watched this entire speedrun? Popsicle vibes.
Oh my god.
I will not be taking questions at this time.
What does that even mean?
You're the one with the emote. Don't
I
ask
didn't
me.
even make it. It was another guy by the name of Count Gooby, and I said, screw it. I don't have an emote.
I don't believe that. I think you did it yourself. And there's no proof.
Zoe does not have the talent to make that himself.
Wow.
That's an excellent point.
Wow.
If you apply much more heat, the popsicle is gonna melt.
Thank you. I'll be here all night.
You can't apply burns to the popsicle melts. That's how physics
true.
work.
So that means I'm not a
don't do it.
popsicle.
Ooh, then we get like a Zoj slushy
Oh, gosh.
or like an icy.
All right, so
Wow.
here we are.
Oh,
Bridge
I can-
skip.
oh.
Slade.
All right. So, anyway, so basically for this bridge, we were gonna enter the bridge and then instantly reload the checkpoint because we missed the ship pretty much. And then as soon as we reload, we're just gonna mash A. Just mash A, jump and dash blast onto the first gunship, and then we're gonna jump again onto the second gunship. And usually it takes us all the way out of bounds and we jump over the final checkpoint, but it's slightly different in this. We gotta jump into this one other section just so we can get a holocron.
I got the hardest step, right, which is dashing around this invisible wall. And there's no visual cue for it. It's purely feel. So to get that first try in a showcase is exactly what you want to see. I'm very happy right now.
Brag about it.
I'm not bragging. I'm being hyped. There's a difference.
Not really with
You
you.
do humble brags.
Yes, it's a humble brag.
Oh, humble brags are allowed? That's my bad. I didn't know.
Golly.
Be proud of your achievements in speedrunning and video
I'm
games.
Very
and
proud of my
life.
achievements.
Do we have 2 minutes where I can get something off my chest? Zoj?
Yes, right now is the time
Not
to do
yet.
it.
Hang on.
Wait, what?
All right.
happening
Yep.
right now?
Here we go.
Game?
Hey, Slade, how did he
Yes?
ask you to be here?
Well, he pretty much was in town one day and asked if I wanted to do this because I
Cool.
had nothing else better going on.
Cool. So he sent me
How did he ask you?
He sent me a letter in the mail.
Oh.
Like on wedding stock in the mail letter, like with the foil on the top and everything. And I'm gonna read it for you right now because it's kind of rude. He said, "Hey dum dum, what are you doing May 4th? Probably nothing, like normal, you loser. I'm so good at speedrunning, GDQ asked me personally to be on their show. And I need someone to be the dumb commentator for my run, and you were obviously the man for the job. So be ready and don't embarrass me too much. Love you, ZojLX." And I don't know how exactly to feel about it, but it's not great.
I wouldn't feel that great about it either.
That's not accurate at all. I guess that works. I don't know.
What is this?
That's not how I asked him. To be fair,
That doesn't. I was gonna say that doesn't sound like Zojalex.
like
I remember.
You know what? It surprised me too, and that's why I had to bring it up. It was so out of left field, I didn't know how to react.
wow.
Like I remember when I met
at least you're
Zoj
here,
at
so-
AGDQ 2020. I don't remember the exact conversation, but I remember it being pretty wholesome. So, Zoj.
I don't know what I did to him in the past. I beat him. I took all of his records one time in 2 towers, and this is how he treats me.
You took
I remember
them
that.
one time, and the fact that I still invited you to be here says something.
Yeah, but you invited me like that.
I don't know how I could send you wedding stock card because I don't even have your address.
Yeah, but you didn't even invite me to your
I don't
wedding
even have
either.
your
So like,
address. Like, bruh.
That is exactly right. That is the letter a popsicle would write.
gosh.
Thank you.
Are you turning Twitch chat against
And
me
it's
too?
back.
I mean,
Yep.
that wasn't hard.
It definitely looks like Twitch chat is against you, Zoj.
Of course it is.
Anyways,
I
I'm gonna-
Twitch chat.
I'm gonna
so
frame that. Thank you.
Maybe you should frame it. I
Wow.
closed Twitch chat
Not even
because
looking at
I
Twitch
wanted
chat.
to focus on the run.
And how's that working for
Pretty
you?
well. I'm actually playing pretty dang well.
See, that's why we're the ones to look at chat.
I mean, look, Twitch likes the clown, or Twitch chat likes the clown, and I like to relay that clownery. And yeah, that definitely sounded like a letter a popsicle would write. But also, like, I'm looking at this popsicle emote, and I'm just like, you could take Zojulix right now, because like this is like the perfect like outline for a popsicle, and just like literally color change it to be like a popsicle, and you'd have a better Zoj popsicle emote. Like, I
Oh my
promise.
gosh. Are we gonna get Zojsicle Mark II now?
No. Now we're gonna make the Zoj slushy.
Oh, no.
Ooh, has anyone here had a
what
slush
flavor?
And then the
puppy?
Zoj soup.
Like, does anyone remember the slush
Yes.
puppy brand or whatever? Those are
Yes,
so
I
good.
do.
What slush puppy?
Yeah.
I think it's a southern thing.
I'm as confused as
Well, I'm
you
in
are.
the Northeast. I haven't seen a slush puppy machine in a long time, but it would come in like this blue cup. It'd be at like convenience stores and gas stations and stuff. And
Used to be. We still have them here.
like, yeah, like, I mean, used to be maybe up here in the Northeast because I'm from like New England, and I only remember one like convenience store near where I used to live, like in Boston, ever had it. But I just remember like wanting to always have like the cherry flavor one, and then I became like, heck cherry. I was like, I like lemon now, but just like,
As
yeah,
you
it's
do.
like slush puppies. Like, someone's like, slush puppies are better than 7-Eleven slushies, which, like, you know, actually, I might agree with that.
I've only been to 7-Eleven once. And I didn't even
Really?
get a chance to get a slushie. We don't have them in the Midwest.
I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
it's the Midwest. You just walk outside and there's snow. Why would you want
That's
a slush
fair.
puppy?
But we do have Quick Trip.
Well, yeah.
Like
Like,
if
I'm
gonna
that
brag
weird kid
on
who
anything-
likes, like, cold food at, like, in the middle of winter. Like, I guess, like, I have memories of my parents telling me, like, when I was in a stroller still, I'd, like, and we lived in Boston, my parents would be, like, near an ice cream store, and I'd want ice cream, and it'd be, like, in the middle of, like, snow. And they're just like, I don't know why you're like this, but here, have a vanilla ice cream cone.
Are you sure you're not secretly like Midwestern, Amber?
Maybe I'm the popsicle. Well, actually, like, so, all right. For full disclosure,
Hey,
I was born in
no,
Ohio.
you're way.
So
Oh.
technically, I am Midwestern. I just grew up in Boston my entire life.
Okay.
So, like, I
enough.
am technically from the Midwest.
Oh yeah, so we're fighting a boss
don't
right
call
now,
yourself
but
a-
you do
a
it just the
popsicle.
same way that you would do it casually. So that's why I haven't tried to explain anything.
It's like, yeah, this just if you want to know what's going on in this boss, there's a very angry Shrek-looking thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it looks more like a Hinox with like really big tusks.
Honestly, yeah. I didn't even realize that. Maybe this is like Star Wars. When this game was made, the developers had just finished playing Link's Awakening and was like, man, we need to take the Hinox and make it bigger and give it tusks.
She's like,
so
have
they
you ever
did it.
tried fusing it with a woolly mammoth? That would be very cursed.
Nope, I don't want to think of that. Nope.
I think that's.
And I have ruined
I
your
think that
night.
just becomes like a
What
mammoth
if this?
blind.
No, my night ain't ruined, but it's
It's
getting there.
fuzzy, isn't it cute then? Isn't that how it works?
It sounds like a
Okay, just because it's fuzzy does not make it cute.
I think we're entering very dangerous territory right now.
Yep.
Whoa, what attack pattern was this? I haven't seen this attack pattern in like 3 months.
Is that when you last ran the game,
What?
or
No! I last ran the game on Monday.
Didn't you get a PB recently?
I did. I got a 6.9 second PB like a week ago, and that was in my first D-Rust run
Nice.
back.
I love D-Rust PBs. They're great.
Which it's actually insane that I got a PB because my current PB is only 2 minutes and 10 seconds slower than my sum of best. And so like any mistake, because this game is like, there isn't like any like crazy amount of RNG. It's just basically your AI. The biggest parts of RNG are that carbon door, this boss, and then one other section near the end. That's not just your basic run-of-the-mill AI RNG. So it's a pretty consistent run. And so, but the RNG is just enough that getting within 2 minutes of your sum of best is pretty difficult. So the fact that I have as optimized of a run as I do makes me really happy.
Yeah, that is actually really, really awesome. Just like getting a category, especially like, here's the thing about categories where like, from what I understand, you're the only runner of the all holocrons category.
Yep.
Getting a run that optimized by yourself is really, really awesome. And just like, if anyone is interested in picking up a Star Wars speedrun, and this is kind of like, you know, more your speed, like consider picking up this category, because when you get other people involved in a category only 1 or 2 people run, that introduces more people to fine optimization. So like your PBs right now, I'm so sorry, like I forgot, what was your PB currently?
114.25.
Okay, so you have a 114.25. Imagine getting this like, you know, to the 113 or 112 mark, or even beyond that.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah, so this definitely is super accessible to. Oh, by the way, my camera's broken. Don't worry about it. So this game is super accessible. It's super cheap on Steam, and you really don't need crazy hardware to run it. I started running this on a 1050 processor with a pretty basic, like just a pretty basic setup. I started running this. Like I think it was on a laptop that I inherited from my dad is what I started running this game on. And so you don't need to have this crazy beefy computer to be good at this game. There's a current any percent guide out by Lifelike, but I'm actually working on making an updated version because it's a few years old and I just want, not too much has changed, but I want to just update some things as well as get tutorials for the few new skips that we do have. But yeah, this, like I said, this game's super cheap on Steam. It's super easy to pick up. It's a really easy game to learn because the game is pretty linear. So if you guys are even just looking at getting into speedrunning, this is a perfect first speed game.
Yeah, like I'm seeing both Force Unleashed games, 1 and 2, are $6.99 on Steam, and that's not even on sale.
Yeah.
Like from what I'm understanding.
And even the first game is arguably even more accessible and easy to get into as a speed game than this one, and it is also a very accessible, very good speed game. And this is not just me being unbiased and being the top runner for one of the top runners for multiple different categories.
So like
Slade.
What?
What were you gonna say?
So yeah. So I was gonna say, someone mentioned in there, I think it was Luigi's apartment, that kind of boss you've been fighting, it looks like a cave troll or something.
They have a cave troll.
And I figured you'd get a kick out of that.
It kind of reminds me, now that I'm like, after I was looking at it for a while, like besides like looking kind of like a Hinox with tusks, it also kind of looks like one of the bosses from Resident Evil 4, like El Gigante.
You know, I don't know because I've never played a Resident Evil game.
That's fair, but anyone who has in chat might actually know what I'm talking about. It's like one of the first like kind of mini bosses in the village segment. So like someone might actually know what I'm talking about. But I thought it was like actually kind of a cool design. I didn't like. I have a confession. Like I have never actually watched or played a Star Wars anything. Like you think I would, but I've never like Star Wars. I know a little bit about it, but I have not actually dove into the series at all. So like this is kind of like I love watching the speedruns of the games. Because they tend to be either really, really cool to look at or extremely hilarious. Like, there's, like, no in-between. They're either really cool or absolutely, like, off the rails.
That is very fair.
But, like, they're always really entertaining. And, like, I guess, like, for anyone who's trying to get into either the game series or the movie series, like, what would you recommend, like, people look at?
Ooh. Personally, if you want to get into the movies, I recommend starting with the original trilogy because they were made in the 1980s and they're a great way to get started. Not only that, but if you start from like the prequel trilogy and then watch episode 4, the swap of animation can be quite jarring. And in terms of games, honestly, unless you're playing the games that are directly based off the movie, you can play whatever game you want, and you can get a totally different Star Wars experience. And that's one of the best parts about Star Wars, is there's so many different ways that you can approach the series.
Yeah, so go ahead.
I always like the Return of the Sith game. And I think that's a really good speedrun too.
It is a really good speedrun.
Not that I've ever done it, but it, just a really fun game.
The third or fourth game I think I ever picked up as a speed game. I haven't ran in a hot minute, so it might be a fun one to do for Mercy Kill. Because it's been a long time. And I just was like, just thought about it now.
The situation, General.
But it's also like another very accessible speed game. Yeah, there really isn't any Star Wars game that I've honestly played that I would consider bad.
Yeah, like I think I had a random like used copy of a N64 Star Wars racing game.
Ooh, yes.
If I'm remembering, like.
Was it pod racing?
It might have been. I'm actually trying to look up
That's the only one I can remember being on N64.
Yeah, let me look up a list of games in the series to make sure I'm not like hallucinating.
Yeah, there was that one, and there was Shadow of the Empire that were on N64.
Rylan, I don't like you right now.
I'm so confused as to what's happening. If you're doing stuff in chat, I'm terrified.
Okay, so people in chat have been talking about one of the ways to watch the episodes, and I saw the machete order, which is 45236, and then Rylan posts in there 254168973.
Oh gosh.
I've seen these terror droids before.
I almost forgot I was running all holocrons for a second, and almost didn't grab that very obvious holocron. So
I found it.
This game here, the game has now kind of shifted. We had a lot of skips that were happening that were very high paced, but when we get into the mid game's really chill. And by that I mean it's a lot more focused on how good your movement is versus how well you can execute crazy skips. Another reason why I really enjoy this run is because you get a lot of action right away, and then you kind of chill after the arena and the Dagobah. Excuse me, before you go into the Aboard the Salvation, which is still pretty high-paced, but it's high-paced movement versus skip after skip after skip after skip after skip.
Apparently was the pod racing one that I had, by the way.
Yes, and
just being confirmed in chat.
That pod racing game is one of the best, if not the best, racing game of all time. Its speedrun is just absolutely bonkers because the runners utilize the physics where you can go up to like over 1,000 kilometers per hour to break the game.
Yeah, that one came out on literally everything. It came out on Windows, N64, Game Boy Color, Mac, Dreamcast. I guess it's been re-released on Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Xbox One as well.
Yep. I have a PC copy on Steam. I have an N64 copy, as well as I bought it on my Xbox One.
Oh, nice.
So it's a great game, and it's super fun too to just sit down and like do some races with your friends. Oh yeah, there I just clipped through a little back to tank because I guess dashing kind of slightly extends your hitbox, so I was able to just barely extend my hitbox a little bit more to be able to grab that holocron without actually having to break the pillar. So here I'm going to repulse into this door, and it's going to destroy this entire room. Because why not? Oh, please let me get the cape glitch. No! So sometimes Boba Fett... Oh, by the way, there's Boba Fett, one of the most iconic Star Wars characters ever, and that's going to be the only time you're going to see him for the rest of the run.
There's something there.
Boba Fett is overrated. He does nothing in
It's
the
true.
movies.
That's where I'm going.
Alright.
He does
Doesn't-
nothing in his own TV
So
show
coming
either.
up here,
Yeah.
I'm going to dashing blast into this cutscene because it will push me over the edge of the platform and I will fall and die, which will allow me to skip the cutscene. Oh, and the platform didn't spawn there, so we're gonna die again. Because why not? Luckily, in this section, you don't have to do a load when you die, so it's like you really only lose maybe a second or two. It's nothing too ridiculous.
Yeah,
So-
like low penalty deaths is nice.
Yeah, so coming up here, we're doing what's called engine room skips. They created this room that is supposed to be based on cycles and these some little mini puzzles to do, but Starkiller is a crafty old boy and has figured out to, well, actually, he out-tricks the devs by slipping through these little holes to be like, yeah, you've got cycles, yeah, we don't care. We're just gonna, oh, come on, get through the hole. No, okay. There we go. And then one really fun thing I like to do while waiting here is stick my knee into the shield and then just stand in the shield because I haven't gotten through the hitbox yet. Where am I?
Oh my goodness.
So now
so,
I
actually,
have a pretty precise jump to grab this holocron. Got it. Alright, go ahead.
I actually have a question for you, just because I wasn't entirely sure, like, looking at the speedrun.com page for this. I was trying to understand what makes this different as all holocrons from any percent. Like, obviously, you are, I believe, collecting holocrons?
So all holocrons essentially is like our 100% S category. Because we don't have any actual percentage tracker, but we have holocrons that we can collect throughout the run. And we utilize some holocrons in any percent because they give us specific, they give us like 5,000 experience points, which allow us to get certain upgrades faster. But for any percent versus all holocrons, in any percent, there are a few areas that we actually skip some major sections that we aren't able to skip in all holocrons because obviously we would be skipping a holocron.
Right.
But also, too, there are a few other strats that I actually really like showing off that are all holocrons exclusive. So there's the runs themselves are very similar. You just have to go and grab some holocrons that you wouldn't be able to grab otherwise.
Right, so it shows a little bit more of the game that you don't get in any percent,
Correct.
from what I'm understanding.
Yep. It's also just one of the things that I really like about all holocrons is in any percent, there's a trick in the first like 5 of the run that if you fail it, you lose around 45 seconds. So in an optimized any percent run, that's a crazy reset point. But in all holocrons, that's it skips a holocron, so you can't do that skip. And so
Okay.
it's nice because all holocrons becomes more reset heavy later in the run versus you're a lot more likely to get a run to the end of the game because the hardest trick in the run isn't until near the end. Like we haven't even we're still quite a few minutes out from the hardest trick in the run.
Right.
And so
And then
you're a lot
otherwise,
more
like, you'd
likely to get
reset
runs to
there.
the end. Yep. Which, to me, I prefer having runs that you're more likely to go deeper into a run. I know some people prefer to have the more difficult tricks early on. Just so that way you get them out of the way, and if you fail them, you reset versus losing like a super crazy run. But I get to a point where I will just, if I get a run to a certain point, regardless of how bad it is, I'll just finish it out. And
Right, because like I think that does more, more good for your overall consistency in the game versus just giving it up and never getting consistent at the end of the game.
Yep, and with all holocrons, it's way past what I call the point of no return. And so, unless I have a run that is absolutely horrendous, then I'll be finishing 90% of my runs.
Nice.
Like, I think I've only reset like 6 or 7 all holocrons runs out of the 10 that I submitted to SRC.
Yeah.
So there was a boss fight there. Nothing really too much to say. The only thing that we really did that would be considered fancy tech is we did a hit combo and then hit Y to use lightning, which that allowed us to manipulate the AI to keep them from hitting us while we were attacking the boss. So that's why that boss fight seemed really easy. Casually, you probably wouldn't have thought to do that because, well, I didn't realize that was something that bosses, like that manipulated boss, like enemy AI. So I just was like, cool, I'm going to get whacked by all the enemies. But then when I started speedrunning and learned that kept them distracted and either killed them or got them away from you, then you could just wail on the boss and essentially keep it stun locked.
I'll take care of it, General.
Hey, so Zoj, I'm reading in chat here that Alan Gregory here is upset that you're not using Guybrush.
Oh, don't worry, we'll get there. That was supposed to be a surprise, but I like to save Guybrush for the end of the run, because if I use it too early, then it actually can cause the game to crash a lot more. So I like to save Guybrush for the end of the run.
Rylan, stop ticking off the people in chat.
Oh my gosh,
So
what is he doing?
No.
So was this PC port like just kind of poorly optimized or rather unstable when it came out?
Yeah, it was stable for a while. I think it was mostly stable until I think like Windows 10 was a thing.
Yeah, because this came out in 2010, if I recall.
Yeah, and I started running this before, like, when it was still mostly stable. And so when we started having the issues when we started having these crashing issues, it wasn't until I actually, believe it or not, upgraded my hardware. That's when I started getting a lot of the crashing issues that we have now. But then it was a pretty easy fix. Somebody was just like, hey, why don't you guys try this? And then he was like, it works for me. And then we did it, and we were like, wow, literally just something as simple as removing cutscenes saves us from a bunch of crashes. And
It's
we
actually
typically,
really interesting.
yeah, I don't understand why it's a thing, but it is.
You need to remove those boarding ships on the hangar door.
So,
Like it's sort of similar to like 2012 was when the Sonic Adventure 2 PC port came out, and that thing just crashes when you boot it up. Like I've watched someone lose a 180 emblem PB, which is by about a 9-hour run at the time, to the game. Just like there's a point where you have to close the game and reopen it to disable a glitch that persists through the whole run, otherwise like on purpose to save time, and then they just straight up could not get the game to open like 15 boots in a row. It was awful.
oh my gosh. I remember when I first tried to play SA2B on my computer, and I didn't realize that the game gets broken if you're running it at higher than 60 frames per second.
Yep.
And so I played it at like super fast, And that was an experience playing through SA2B at 120 FPS.
Yep. Like, the game goes double speed. It's an experience, as you said. Like,
and I didn't know that until after I beat it. So, it was something.
Does this game behave in a similar way at all, or does it actually have a variable frame rate?
This game actually locks to 30 FPS.
Okay.
Which is something that I didn't realize until I turned on Steam's active FPS counter.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this game consistently runs at 30 FPS, which is kind of surprising because it doesn't feel like a 30 FPS game. Yeah, right there, I just tricked the game. I was distracted talking about FPS.
Sorry.
I used my Force Rage attack there to kill so many enemies that there were none on screen, and so the game assumed that I killed all of the enemies, even though there were still some that were supposed to spawn that didn't. And even though I killed so many, I ended up not having to worry about killing all of them because the game got distracted. The game got confused and was just like, oh, there aren't any more enemies on screen. I guess you killed them all, you can advance, even though we didn't. Which is a super nice thing, because then it just makes the combat significantly less painful.
Please tell me that trick is called something along the lines of like a Jedi mind trick. Or...
I don't actually know if that trick even has a name. I think it's just called Engine Room Fight Skip.
It can be that name now.
It is now. It's the Jedi mind skip.
Jedi mind skip. Ah, yes. The only thing that's really upsetting is we do not have a trick in here that I can call I'll try spinning. That's a good trick.
Yeah. That is upsetting.
I don't get that
Get
reference.
that reference?
It's from episode
Anakin
1.
is just like, I'll try spinning. That's a good trick. And
Oh yeah. I prefer the trick where you drift lazily to the left. That'll be a niche joke for some people
I'm
out
just
there.
confused.
That's
Yeah,
all right.
same.
I knew you would be.
Am I explaining that to me then?
It's Family Guy joke.
All right. Fair enough.
Specifically the Family Guy Star Wars ones. Nothing?
Nothing.
It's all right. We can move on.
I haven't watched
if you guys are just
those.
now tuning in, I can go over the movement one more time. So you'll notice our killer kind of does this really awkward animation while he's force dashing. That's because what I'm doing is at the end of every single force dash, there's this like stutter animation. And if I dash, jump, and then dash again, I cancel out that stutter animation. And I guess this box is just coming with us to the turret. That's just what's happening now. I totally missed the spot where it's supposed to go. Hey buddy, there you go. And so we dash cancel in order to optimize our movement and keep us from, we essentially are constantly skipping that awkward animation. And then we're going to reload this cutscene here, or this checkpoint here, in order to spawn the enemies, because the game can't keep up with how much it's loading, so enemies just don't spawn, hence why we had that magma droid also that was there earlier, that didn't actually show up, and it was just this dramatic opening of an empty escape pod. I just like to say he missed the pod and wasn't able to come into work that day. It was really unfortunate. He probably woke up late, you know, forgot to set an alarm or something. So here's the best voice line in the game because it doesn't make sense. Koda grunts after the ship gets shot.
He was just feeling its pain, man.
I think there would be like a little bit of residual electricity through the floor. Maybe he got shocked a little bit.
It's possible. So here I'm going to grab this holocron and with a really interesting strat, I'm going to do a 3-hit combo, jump up, do that, and then we're going to double jump and do another 3-hit and grab it. I don't honestly know if that's faster than just getting it the way the game wants you to, but it looks dope as heck. To be able to just do a 3-strike combo, force push into the ground, which then holding the B buttons pushes you up, and then allows you to reset your jump combo by doing 2 slashes, a shock, and double jumping, and then doing another 3-strike combo. It's a swag strat.
Great shot! Now get up here!
Also, we just one-shot a Star Destroyer. It's fine. The Empire is cheap.
You beat me to it, Luigi. That is absolutely his Padawan braid.
Yes, it is. I was gonna mention
my headset
something.
Cable?
Yeah.
Yes. Someone thought it was just a long beard hair, but now But Chad has come to an agreement that it is now your Padawan
Yes,
braid.
I dyed my Padawan braid red.
Yeah, when someone brought it up and
Oh.
they thought that it was like a really long beard hair or something, I looked and I was like, oh my god, the lighting just, yep, nope.
Oh, same. I almost just busted out laughing
I
from
cannot.
that. It was so
I
funny.
cannot unsee it now.
Crap. This is gonna be cemented in history now, is I'm gonna be the guy with the really long beard hair I'm never before seen.
Can you add a really long beard hair to the Zoj sickle
No.
emote?
That sounds disgusting and cursed.
It does, kind of.
No, his
Or it
beard
could be
hair
the
is just the
stick.
stick. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
It's the stick.
No, my game just crashed in the worst possible place.
Oh no!
It's fine. I worked that into my estimate.
It was the beard hair.
Yeah, like your estimate seems like generous enough to allow for a crash or two here.
Yep.
That's
I
all
make
right. We'll
sure
just
to
get the
put it
game up
in.
and running.
I make sure to put it in that includes a crash, and especially one like this one. Oh, that's the wrong save file. Especially one like this one, because this crashing at the end of this level, we have to redo that whole tram section. So that's like a 45-second to a minute time loss, which actually sucks because I was on PB pace. So, but that's all
Oh,
right.
that's unfortunate.
That's all right. This has still been an absolute, like, in terms of gameplay, I could not be happier with how I'm playing.
Yeah, the run's been going really smoothly otherwise, aside from the crash, it looks like.
Yeah, so I'm beyond happy.
I think somebody's talking about their midichlorian count being too high. I think you should talk to a doctor about that, because that's not normal.
Maybe I'm just the chosen one.
Not your midichlorian count.
No, they're saying their midichlorian count.
Yeah, I think they make drugs for that nowadays.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a minute and 5-second time loss with that. It's a minute time loss with that crash. But that's all right, because we're getting close to we're in the end game now. We only have 2 more levels, and we're getting to now the hardest section of the run. This level is where all runs go to die. And it's going to start off with this quick time event auto-scroller thing before we get into really hard tricks back to back. But at least the second trick looks super freaking cool. And I am definitely bragging over the fact that it's a trick that I discovered that's an all Holocrons exclusive. So, yeah, right now we're just chilling and vibing while we're throwing ship pieces around so we can crash the ship to destroy a shield. Because how to destroy a shield is to take your ship that's massive, ram it into the shield so much that the big shield can't take it anymore. Also, don't mind the background textures. They break for some reason when you run this game on the lowest quality. But I run it on lower quality because I value good loads, even though this is loadless.
Feeling about this?
Man, I have not seen so many midichlorian chats in a while.
So, like, you mentioned you started running this game on, like, lower, like, on lower-end hardware. How did you actually get into running this game at all? Like, I know you said you started on, like, a hand-me-down laptop, but I'm very curious how you got there.
I have always been a huge fan of the Force Unleashed games. I played the first two on Wii, literally, like, probably played through them almost as much as, well, maybe not quite this much, but probably about a tenth of the amount of time that you've put into SA2B, which I know you put a lot of time into Sonic Adventure 2, and so I've just done, like, I think 100%ed both games probably like 4 or 5 times before I started speedrunning. And then when I got into speedrunning, I noticed, just kind of was looking through, and I found the speedrun for, I learned the first Force Unleashed game, and then because I was like, I really enjoy these games, and since I started speedrunning, I wanted to learn to speedrun them. And I found Force Unleashed 1, learned it, got a pretty decent time on it, and then I switched over to Force Unleashed 2. And I just went on to SRC and saw Lifelike had a time of 1:10:47, I think, at the time, on any percent. And so I picked up any percent and just watched his guide. It was super well done, so I was able to learn the game pretty easily. The load remover is super easy to set up. And so I just kind of just picked it up and started doing it, because I had already been speedrunning for, I think, just under 2 years by this point.
She's worth it, General.
And so I just took a game that I absolutely loved casually and decided to speedrun it. So there, I opened this door early. You're not supposed to open this door at that point, but because I'm really good at mashing the A button, I was able to open it early. Which also then blocks these walkers from coming in. Before we can go through the door, though, we have to grab some holocrons. That's why I turned in the opposite direction rather than going immediately into the door. Oh, I totally thought I was stuck in that rubble for a second.
Rebel troops have entered the base. Rebel troops.
General, I'm making.
All right, so we're coming up to now the hardest trick in the run. One of my own invention. I'm going to need to do to focus a lot because it's a really, really, really difficult trick. So I'm going to let my boy Slade take it over, and if Rylan has any snarky comments while I'm doing it, they can go ahead and input them.
It's not as fun whenever you give me permission to do snarky comments. I just need you to know that before Slade takes over.
Alright, anyway, so what's gonna happen here is throughout the game, you've seen him use this technique called damage boosting, basically where he jumps up, does a couple force slashes, and then does a force lightning, and then gets shot by a sniper. That when he gets shot by that sniper, it then resets his jump counter, so that way he can pretty much do the exact same thing over again. So basically what's going to happen here is he's going to jump out, force dash, slash, lightning, get shot, repeat until he gets over to the next platform. And while doing that, he's then technically out of bounds, and so then he has to jump into the basically checkpoint, load that section, go over, grab the holocron, and then pretty much keep going down and down until he gets to the section. All of this is completely out of bounds, more or less, but it's a bit tricky because if you go too far, you pretty much fall. So it's kind of a fine line between finding where you need to go.
Yeah, and right there, the game said no, and it said, hey, look, here's gravity, and it just pulled me right off the ledge. This jump that I'm going to do here is easily the hardest part of the skip itself, because I have to start my jump at the precise time, jump far enough, and then do a 3-hit combo to barely inch my way over, and I'm counting that as first try, because gravity, the game giving me gravity is not my fault, and that was...
You're allowed to just say it was first try when it wasn't first try. I'm not going to let you have that. You don't get to just claim it.
I will, because getting it like that in a marathon setting is
but we all know.
Extraordinarily impressive.
Know what?
I don't know what you know.
Yeah, I don't know what you know either.
And now we're just going to kill these guys. Unfortunately, since I didn't get it first try, I can't get the broken cutscene. because the game gets really confused about what you've done, and so this cutscene that would come up would normally break, but we will not be getting it this time, which is kind of unfortunate, but it sometimes just be like that. The broken cutscene is pretty funny, because like while this cutscene would be happening, the camera would just zoom out super randomly, and it like the camera's just out of bounds, and you see just how the boundaries are set up in this game.
Having trouble, General?
Oh my gosh, I thought I was gonna miss that slope there, but we made it across. Holy cow.
What do you see?
Ooh, I saw that too, and I was just like, oh, that didn't look like that was supposed to work.
I don't think it was, but the game said, okay, we just bullied you, so here you go.
I don't know how we're
So you can have this one.
Yep.
Find a way, General.
Cool. So now we're just gonna be cruising our way through this level. There are gonna be some enemies that are gonna be really annoying. I don't even know what kind of enemies they are. They're like these spider droids that want to hurt you and grab me and slam me onto the ground. And if I'm smart and lucky, they won't actually do so. I'm going to suspend myself in the air here so I can grab this holocron, which is the black lightsaber crystal. And I'm sorry, I will not be using it because by this point in the run, it's not useful. The lightsaber crystals do have various effects. We just haven't found anything that is... At least we haven't noticed too much of a difference for each of the different crystals. So here, I'm going to reload this checkpoint because here, enemies don't like to spawn right away. And so reloading this checkpoint just allows for enemies to be spawned, and I don't have to worry about like getting halfway through the fight just for them to not be there. So we're going to use our Force Rage. Audio warning, by the way. I've been really late on that, and I apologize.
No one's complained in chat yet, so...
Yeah, any warning at all.
Well, it's because they can't hear the... It's because they can't hear the stream anymore. You can't complain when you can't hear anymore.
That is a fair point, though.
So yeah, doing that Force Recoil Force Rage strat just allows us to not have to actually fight anything, and we just stand there and basically make explosions happen in order to keep going. So this platforming, this is another spot where a lot of runs come to die. I'm gonna let Slade try and explain what's happening. Or Rylan if he wants to try.
Sure.
Try.
Yeah, you give it a try, Rylan.
So what I assume's about to happen, because I've never seen this run before, is he's gonna jump on these things but keep getting damage boosts to make weird jumps happen, and then jump on these random robots that are around. Am I doing a good job so far?
I just don't have any damage boosting.
Okay. Slade, go ahead and take over. I'm floundering here. I got nothing.
Well, you're probably gonna do better than I am. So basically, it's more of a dash and then upward slashes just to get that little extra height that he needs. Because for some reason, when you upward slash a couple times, you just get that little extra height that you need to. So he's pretty much just going out and around, jumping on top of things, jumping around, just making his own little path there. Pretty much.
That's exactly what I said. I should not have thrown it to you.
No, you said damage boosting. That is not what you said. Don't you dare lie.
I just tried something new there and it worked.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I figured, because normally in that last hallway there are a lot of enemies that tend to prevent you from opening the door, but I took a slightly different path and did a couple of strats that make the enemies out of my way. And so it ended up taking out all of the luck factor of that room. Is it slightly slower? Maybe, but it's at least fast. It's at least more consistent. And so I personally think that is just more worth it.
Yeah, like I would probably advise like doing some testing on that. Ooh, nice jump up there.
Here we go. And now we have finished our last bit of platforming, and we are now going to make our way to the final boss fight. This first section is just going to be nice and chill. We're going to be... Unfortunately, I cannot dash, so you can see I'm messing up my control stick inputs while showing that I'm trying to dash, but the game says no, and my thumb slid off the stick. I'm a good speedrunner. And we're just going to be going in through this creepy, ominous hallway. Darth Vader's going to pop out of nowhere. And then we're going to have a flashback after we beat Darth Vader in the QuickTime event. But the flashback is an FMV, so it's just going to be Starkiller having a little bit of a headache, but he's fine.
I'll just take some ibuprofen after this.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
Do you want to reenact the flashback? Or?
I mean, I don't actually remember what any of the flashbacks are.
Neither do I. So
If you guys do enjoy watching the cutscenes, the console ports of this, so Xbox 360, PS3, which are at least backwards compatible onto Xbox One, and I think PS4 as well, it's significantly more stable. So if you don't like the crashing, you are able to run on those ports as well, and we have separate leaderboards because we cannot manually, because unless we manually retime loads, then you can't do loader moving. At least in a way that is fun. So yeah, those ports are available. They have a separated leaderboard as well. If you're like, hey, I played the Wii version or I played the DS version, can I speedrun those? Yes, they do have their own subcategory, and are, again, they haven't been touched. So, well, the Wii port has been ran a few times. The DS category has not been ran yet. So if you would like to test it out there, you are free to do so.
Are we walking through a bunch of clones?
Yes. So those are all other
much.
Starkiller clones, and they become relevant here. You'll get this really dramatic cutscene here. So, with rendering textures in the middle of the cutscene, you'll see them. I call this split Zambies because they're like not quite finished clones, but they're all clones of Starkiller, and they're basically little Starkiller zombies. They're really kind of freaky.
yeah, they're basically just basic functions of them. All the essential stuff: lightsaber thing, force powers, and rage.
Yep. And so now we're going to be fighting Darth Vader. This is another pretty heavy RNG section, but we thankfully have figured out a way that we can mostly mitigate a lot of the RNG. And what I'm doing here is I'm hitting Vader with a lightning bolt to make him prioritize him blocking my lightning. And then I'm doing 3 saber strikes and a lightning hit. Okay, I was super confused. I'm like, Vader, why aren't you doing the things you're supposed to be doing? But still, sometimes, as you can see, Vader just says no. But Vader's going to jump up there. I'm going to get whacked by zombies, so I'm going to try and force repulse them away. We're going to pull this down, and we're going to do one more checkpoint reload with a cutscene, and we're going to activate the man himself, Guybrush Threepkiller. If you guys enjoy the emotional ending, you will be ruined because of this face right here. Look at him. He's so pretty. Pretty?
That face is.
Look at him.
Pretty.
I don't know. I said
Man,
pretty. I combined beautiful and pretty into pretty. Oh, I missed.
So he's Britney Spears now.
Sure.
Hashtag free
Also,
Britney.
his lightsabers don't actually connect onto his belt.
He's just really good in the Force.
So we're going to once again whack him a bunch. I'm waiting right now for him to spawn the zombies. I think I hit the damage cap, but I'm not actually sure. Hey, I didn't. That's actually fine, because then I can mind trick these guys and whack Vader more. So then I can... Okay. Zombies, please. Oh, okay. Can I jump up? Oh, I can't. We're fine. Zombies? Guys? What? Ah! That was really bad RNG there. The game was like, yeah, you're not gonna grab onto that. You're not gonna grab it. But it's fine. We made it through. So now for the rest of this fight, it's real chill. And by chill, I mean I'm gonna be using my mind trick ability to be preventing these zombies from attacking me and actually getting them to attack Vader. Because if they attack, Vader's distracted, and if I keep using my lightning attack, I will force Vader into a lightsaber lock. And if Vader is in a lightsaber lock, that's not what we want, like, at all. So by shooting Vader, by mind tricking the zombies, he focuses on the zombies instead of me. I don't know why he does that. The zombies are apparently a bigger threat than the speedrunner. But we can just sit here and just do a lot of damage onto him. This is also why, if you missed it, or noticed and were confused, why I got a singular mind trick upgrade. Because if I didn't get that mind trick upgrade, I wouldn't be able to mind trick as many of the zombies. And this way I'm able to mind trick more zombies, which then keeps Vader more distracted and allows me to just keep doing a lot of damage. And I alternate between a 3-hit combo and a mind trick, because the mind trick also does do some damage to the zombies, and it's really easy to kill, like to have the zombies die and then you're out of servants who are trying to help you get through this fight. Interesting that this hasn't advanced the phase yet. There it goes. And we're just gonna repulse here to get rid of some more of them. So far, this part of the fight's going pretty well. Because we have been able to go without getting a lightsaber lock. Each lightsaber lock loses about 15 to 30 seconds, so it's pretty painful to get a lock.
Is mine.
We only have to do this one more time. This is the last phase before we go into his final phase and the end of the game. So I'm going to let this cutscene play out because I hope you guys enjoy Guybrush just ruining any sort of emotional climax that you would see in this run. He just looks so tired.
Oh, that phrasing is so cursed.
What?
So, Luigi's apartment said, "May the Force live long, speak friend and enter."
Wow. As a Lord of the Rings and Star Wars fan, that hurts.
There's
And
also some Star Trek in there too.
Oh, I didn't...
And obviously I replied, melons to you too.
Oh my gosh. So, if you guys have been enjoying the speedrun, please follow me on Twitch. I do speedrun this game a lot. As well as I submit it to pretty much any single marathon that I'm involved in because I love the speed game. It's so much fun. It's super accessible if you guys want to learn this run. Again, I highly recommend it. If you have any questions, we have a Force Unleashed Discord that you guys can go in and ask questions to, so that way you guys can learn more about the run. If you guys have any ideas for skips and stuff, feel free. Right now we're at a point where a new skip hasn't really been found in like a year, so and I think this game has a lot of history and stuff that has a lot of potential that hasn't quite been unlocked yet. I just know that I don't know what is needed in order to unlock this potential. So please do learn this game. I would absolutely love more people running this game. So now we're going to fight Vader one more time, and let's see if we get the ultimate meme, which is where after this cutscene, Vader just doesn't spawn. It hasn't happened to me in a while, so I would actually laugh pretty. Oh, it didn't happen. So right now, I'm trying to just wail on him, but not too much, because we want to keep Vader close to these pillars here. Vader being close to these pillars will just allow us to do so much damage to him.
Embrace it. I will tell you! If you wish to join the woman, so be it.
And you'll see him, we'll push him, hello? What?
I want to know where you came from.
Heck?
I was... game? Well, that's never happened before.
That is number 3 on the counter. Okay,
Alright.
so some people are very confused by the Guybrush thing. We have someone saying, my guy looking like a Wind Waker character. Pretty sure that's just one of the shopkeepers. And then someone else says, why do you look like the guy from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
Yeah. I don't exactly know where. There's some media reference in it. I've looked it up multiple times.
It's the Monkey Island games.
Oh, yeah.
Because LucasArts made those games, and so they included this in the Force Unleashed 2 as like a little Easter egg to what they made.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So, the left stick quick time event thing wasn't working very well. That was weird, but it seems to be working now, because we're now into our final quick time event of the game. We have now deleted Vader's health, and we get to end off with this very swaggy animation this very swaggy set of animations here in order to finish off Vader. I kind of equate this, like, if you're familiar with the Kingdom Hearts 2 speedrun, in the base game, you have the whole Laser Dome section where you cannot, where you have to complete the Laser Dome in order to finish the run, but it looks super cool. That's kind of what this whole section is here. There's just this really cool set of just awesome animations, and it's a very climactic end with Guybrush's eyes about to pop out of his head. So this section of the QTE is what I like to call Look Mom, No Hands. And the reason for that is the game is going to tell me to mash Y. Yeah, that's a suggestion. You can just sit here and let it go. The game is just for some reason it tells you to mash Y, but it does absolutely no difference whether you mash Y or not. So yeah.
I think they want you to feel like you're doing something.
Probably. Which also, if you're mostly an electronic person, like Darth Vader is, there is no way you should survive this. There's just...
He has rubber soles in his shoe, so it's fine.
I don't know.
Right,
I don't
that's
have
cool.
words.
Everything from me.
I just want to enjoy Guybrush yelling
right.
at Vader
Rail to me. Wait.
while looking so tired.
He looks
Yeah,
exhausted.
with the derpy look on his face.
He looks like he's ready for bed.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
It's the funniest
so
thing
bad.
ever.
Why have you put me here? Come on, LucasArts, please.
Interrogate him.
it's like, Monkey Island, this is not what Monkey Island is supposed to be.
Oh, bother.
Oh, bother.
We don't need to fear him any longer.
He's Winnie the Pooh now?
I don't know, he just seems like a person he would, like, with that expression that would go like, oh, bother.
He
Like,
would
he-
definitely say, oh, bother. Oh, time is coming up here in just a little bit. Just a few seconds yet.
He can't tell you if he's dead.
And time. So there we have it. Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2, all holocrons. I hope you guys enjoyed this run. This was a ton of fun to be able to come out and do. I absolutely love this game so much. This run is one of my favorite runs to do. Yeah, I don't know. I could sit and I could talk about how great this speedrun is. The game itself, is also pretty good, but the speedrun just takes the enjoyment of the game to an absolutely whole new level. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much to my commentators, Rylan and Slade. Slade, you did a great job. Rylan, you were all right.
Here.
You're right. You were here. Thank you, Amber, for letting me come onto the show. And just for the rest of the GDQ staff, I will again praise, I mentioned it on Twitter, but my tech check for this show is the smoothest tech check I've ever had. So shout outs to Richard. I think it took less than 5 minutes once we got everything going. And GDQ just did an awesome job at making this really easy to do. So yeah, I love this game. Again, you should run, if you're thinking about getting into speedrunning, this is a great game to get started with. I'm working on a new 90% guide, as well as I will be working on an all holocrons guide to be able to put out, because I want more people to run this game, especially this category. I've put so much into this category, and I want more people to be able to run it and enjoy it and have as much fun with it as I have. So yeah, Slade, Rylan, if you guys have anything else you guys want to say, go for it right now.
I got nothing, so.
I think that's a no from me too.
All right.
Well, thank you both for being on. And Zoch, just in case, your RTA time looks like it was a 1:18:54.
Okay, that's a really good RTA time. Even with the
especially
crash,
with that crash.
Like, I think it's around like a low 117 RTA is where my PB is at. So I had a 1:15:54 loadless, which is a minute and 30 seconds away.
Ooh.
So
yeah,
this
that's not
was
bad at all.
a very good run. And I even had some cheese. I had some cheese in the final fight in Vader. I lost a minute in Vader and then the time for the crash. So like, this run went as well as it could have gone.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being on the show and for submitting the game as well. And that reminds me, for y'all, just to remind you, if you missed this run and you want to catch it, we have our VODs, but of course, if you there is a YouTube channel, and if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, go to twitch.tv/gamesdonequick if you're interested in looking at our live content, and that starts weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. And your subs, your gift subs, Prime Gaming subs, and bits do help support weekly hotfix content, so please consider supporting our daily content if you enjoy these hotfix shows like Never Before Seen and Mercy Kill and the Community Spotlight and a number of other shows that we do throughout the week. And we also have a other YouTube channel called Games Done Quick Highlights, and that's a channel that features highlights of our GDQ hotfix shows, and use the ! highlights command to learn more about our highlights. Now that we're through those announcements, we're going to be moving over into the world of Eorzea with Final Fantasy XIV, as Railcoon is our tour guide through the Realm Reborn All Dungeons No Praetorium category. And it's going to be a really comfy way to end May the 4th. I've messed up my own joke. No. Anyways, we will be right back. Get up, take a moment for yourself while we have a quick break to get the next run set up. Go hydrate, stretch your legs, get a snack. I'm going to be doing that. You should do that and take care of yourselves first and foremost. And we'll be right back with Final Fantasy XIV All Realm Reborn Dungeons No Praetorium, because that thing is like 5 minutes of gameplay and 20 minutes of cutscene. So we'll be back right after this. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 30 of Never Before Seen. My name is AmberCyprian, and I am joined by the wonderful Railcoon as we take a trip into the world of Eorzea in its earliest time, aside from the 2010 release. We don't talk about that.
No, we don't talk about that.
No, not at all. So, we're going to take a trip back to 2013. When A Realm Reborn came out, and there were a bunch of dungeons, and Railcoon, with the very cute fox avatar, is going to be going through all of the fungeons, as I keep trying to typo it, aside from the Praetorium, because, as I said before the break, that is basically 5 minutes of cutscenes, or 5 minutes of gameplay and 20 minutes of cutscenes. If it was the inverse, maybe we'd actually include it. But, yes, so... Ray, how are you doing tonight? I'm so happy to have you on the show again.
I'm doing well. We're chilling. quick disclaimers. My gear is cracked because I'm an active Savage Raider. You do not have to have gear this good. This is an alt class, and I still have almost the best gear that I can have. You can just jump into this if you want. I'm going to be overkilling stuff way more than is needed. Do not think that gear is a limitation. Also, this is very hard for me to do while I'm talking, so I'm going to make a lot of little mistakes, but we're just going to chill and go through and show off what it's like. And it'll be a lot of fun.
Also, one last thing, so I'm not watching like 30 seconds behind. I forgot to ask you to share your screen.
1 second.
I would like to be up to date on the action with the adorable avatar.
Where's OBS? There's OBS. It's gonna be a little small, but
okay. Thank you. But yes, also there is I think you've already said it, maybe you haven't. Quick disclaimer, there is a flashing lights warning for this run.
Correct.
It's not as severe as some things we've had in the past, but Ray can go ahead and explain and maybe even demonstrate very quickly what.
Yeah, so we're playing Ninja, and that means I'm going to be doing this a lot, and it makes the screen flash every time I do it, but that's required for me to go fast. So if you're sensitive to flashing light, maybe turn this more into podcast mode, because we're going to go off the rails and just talk about a lot of all this stuff. But if you're ready, let's just get into it.
All right. I think we are ready for this critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV speedrun with the free trial that, lets you play up to level 60 and through all of A Realm Reborn and Heavensward, and I don't know the rest of the
With no playtime restrictions.
Yeah, with no playtime restrictions. There we go. I was I know there's something else here.
The award-winning expansion Heavensward. You got to get it right.
Oh, right. You're right. I am very, very,
okay, so
sorry.
For Richard, I apologize. There's no consistent way for me to count this down. The timer starts. I'm going to appear in the dungeon. There'll be a blue ring around me. When the blue ring goes away, that's when the timer starts. So I'm just going to start the thing, and we'll talk as we go.
So, from what I understand, you could treat this this category as a kind of a compilation of individual dungeon runs, right?
Yes.
So it's like kind of taking a bunch of ILs and stitching them together into a category, which is really cool, and is a really nice way to go about speedrunning an MMORPG. The only other MMO I've ever seen speedrun that was that didn't have a single player mode was Phantasy Star Online 2. So it's really interesting that, if a game can have a possibility of having a set of objectives that you can complete, you can definitely speedrun it. So, and Ray is demonstrating that here. So how did you actually get into either the game as a whole, if you want, or stitching together the dungeons into a category?
Oh, we almost got lucky. Sorry. I was trying to roll the dice. This is a 1 in 3, and I got a guess. But if they hit me, then it interrupts the channel of guessing it. But since I'm super high level, I have a high chance of dodging them. So I just went for it, But I got into 14 when the Realm Reborn came out, the remake. I got into it just because I liked MMOs at the time. And I didn't really stick with it until later, close to when Heavensward actually came out. Game was kind of rough on release. It was fun, but took a while for them to really find their footing. And to explain what's actually going on, because, I kind of just jumped right into it. So ninjas have a system with their ninja magic, as I like to call it when we're doing these, called ninjutsus. Shocking name, I know. Never would have guessed that's what they would call it.
Imagine creative names.
And it lets me combine my different hand signs into different spells. And 2 of them, when I use them, reset the cooldown of my ability to just dash and run at and just move forward very quickly. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to use those as much as we can. And every 30 seconds or so, I can hide if I'm not in combat. That'll reset the cooldown and give me both charges of my ninjutsus back. So that's already a lot. But also, when I use one of the specific ninjutsus, Raiton, it gives me a charge of that dash ability. And the ninja speedrun used to be killing everything to drop out of combat so you can hide and get your charges back. But with the new dash ability, any dungeon that doesn't have like doors that require you to kill enemies to open them up are just a little bit faster just to run past enemies. You don't get to drop out of combat very often, but this extra dash is very good for speed. Just ups your traversal rate a little bit more. And I also have Kasatsu over here, which I'm going to be trying to use. Resets the cooldown of one of my ninjutsus and makes it crit. And in some instances, transforms it into a different ability altogether, which is actually kind of bad because then it doesn't reset. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. So I'm just going to be juggling a lot of high APM stuff, and then we're going to mess it up because we're talking, but we're hanging out. This is a showcase of what it can be like, not necessarily the best gameplay of this, because it's very hard with this high APM to do it while holding a competent conversation at the same time.
Yeah, so this category that you were offering me initially, they were initially just all dungeons, no story, no level 50 story dungeons. And very, very recently, there was an update to the game that retooled a number of the earlier dungeons. Is that right?
Yes. And because of that update, I got hacked.
Oh.
I didn't dodge. But yeah, recently the Castrum, Meridianum, and Praetorian were completely changed. They are significantly faster, but Praetorian is still like a 25-minute dungeon with 5 minutes of gameplay. I don't know. I didn't test it for too long. It's 15 to 20 minutes of cutscenes. It kind of bogs down the pace of the run. We're here to show things off. Also, there's the side effect of this becoming mostly spoiler-free, with us not including that dungeon. So it's just a little bit more friendly for people who just want to see the game, maybe aren't very far. Because there's only one cutscene in Castrum now. It's one person yelling at us about something that doesn't make any sense if you haven't played the game. And then that's the only cutscene in the entire run. So if you haven't finished Realm Reborn, this is mostly spoiler-free. You'll see what some of the dungeons look like. So, you know, definitely if you want to not be surprised on that, maybe finish and then tune into the VOD later on, which you can find on YouTube, youtube.com/GamesDoneQuick. But it should be mostly spoiler agnostic, is kind of the term that I decided I want to use right about now.
Yeah. It's the term I want to use right now. I decided that right now. But yeah, that makes sense to me, honestly.
Oh, the double dodge! Let's go.
But one of the nice things about this category is that it kind of how do you say, it's a really nice way to look at a game that you really enjoy and finding a way to speedrun it. And even MMOs that have the ability to run dungeons or something like that, even if we weren't running the entirety of content in it, in a full release or something, you could still even go fresh character to beating the first area or two or something like that. And there's probably a number of things that you can figure out there, especially in older MMOs. But this is a very story-heavy MMO as well.
Yeah. The way I like to explain it to people is that this MMO is kind of like a really good RPG, where sometimes it asks you to team up with some other players to do a dungeon, but they're actually in the process of rolling out an entire system where you can do it with NPCs instead of teaming up with other players. So it will become completely possible to play this game entirely single player for just the story experience pretty soon. They've already got it for the modern expansions. They're just filling in the stuff in between.
Yeah, that would probably be so I've tried to get into this game because the MMO of my choice when I'm actively playing an MMO is Phantasy Star Online 2. Mm-hmm. That is my MMO of choice. I've tried getting into this. I do find a Realm Reborn to drag for me, but I also am not super keen on playing games with having to rely on other people, especially folks I don't know. It has a lot of anxiety-inducing elements for me. which is why if I can play an MMO solo like I can mostly for Phantasy Star Online, I will, right? So if they actually do retool parts of the game to allow you to play with NPCs in dungeons, I probably would give this game another shot. Like no lie, would probably give it another shot and push through a Realm Reborn so I can see what other people, are hype about with this game.
So I'm being called out because I'm not talking about the 24-man and the 8-man content. Yes, that still you cannot do single player. I would not be surprised if that changes in the future, though. Just because they are slowly just making everything doable with AIs. Mm-hmm. And in their most recent expansion, they do let you do some of the story 8-mans with a party of NPCs. So I expect that to be a trial run of the system that will be rolled out to other stuff moving forward. One thing I'm doing a little bit is anytime I have to cross back over my path so that I'm running back through enemies, where I have to do something like in this dungeon where I have to channel items for a while, or there's multiple of them. I'm dropping Doton. That does not help with my dashes. It does not. I'm going the wrong way. They changed some of these dungeons, so I'm still fighting with some old muscle memory, and also most of these dungeons have a hard mode that are different. So I'm fighting the muscle memory of 2 dungeons that have basically the same name with different layouts. I forgot what I was talking about before I messed up. What was I talking about just now?
You're asking the other person with a short-term, bad working
Chat,
memory
help.
to remember.
Chat, what was I talking about? They'll notice shortly and they will help out. But
yeah.
There's been some significant changes to this dungeon. They removed the auto-scroller boss. They removed this boss coming up is much simpler. You can just kill it.
Yeah, I was also responding in chat while you were talking, because someone said, why play an MMO if I don't like the multiplayer aspect? I do like the multiplayer aspect on my own terms. So, I like having that be an option rather than mandatory to progress through a story, and maybe I like the combat enough in a game. Like, I like I like Phantasy Star Online 2's combat a lot, just because it's very, very flashy.
Play entirely by yourself.
Almost entirely, yeah. And when I do the raids, they're you can group with randos and stuff like that. But it usually isn't very awful if you do, because you just need a bunch of strong people who generally know what they're doing, but you don't always have to communicate most of the time.
Yeah, also Amerlin is trying to lure people into playing FF11 in chat. It's trapped. Don't fall for it. If you enjoy old school MMOs that are pain to play because they have old school design sensibilities, go for it. But you should know that's what you're signing up for.
I actually, Ray, what was the first MMO you ever got into?
Dark Age of Camelot.
I haven't heard of... wait, no. I think that's a lie. I think I have heard of that. I think I remember watching a friend of mine play it.
Dark Age of Camelot is that game that old school gamers talk about in that wistful, God, I miss Dark Age of Camelot sense. And they talk about how they wish that people would bring it back. But they haven't actually looked at gameplay of it in 20 years. And if somebody made a Dark Age of Camelot game, they'd trash it endlessly. It did a lot of really cool things, don't get me wrong. But that game was a problem.
Yeah. My first MMO... that I ever played, period, was Dofus Online, which is a tactical RPG MMO, and that was a lot of fun. But then the first kind of almost traditional style MMO that I got into that wasn't a spin on a different genre was Eden Eternal, which was run by Area Games here in the States. And I played that for a really long time, and that was gameplay that was a little closer to this, but not quite at all. But it was definitely much closer to a typical MMO.
So this is one of the first early game dungeons where I have to do a thing other than just run quickly. I have to hit all these winches. So I do have to make sure that either I'm out of combat or I'm far enough away from things chasing me that they won't interrupt me. I'm mostly going for the latter here. And to clarify, I love Dark Age of Camelot. The main point of Dark Age of Camelot was the PvP. But it took such a huge time investment to be able to even participate in the PvP and the leveling was a pain. Like, everything other than the PvP in that game was atrocious, but the PvP was amazing. Like, one of the only games I've ever enjoyed the PvP in. So we're still moving through these early dungeons. The theme of a lot of these early dungeons is there are no doors, so you can just go fast. But a few of the revamped dungeons they just changed recently added some doors. Okay, we messed up. We just gotta hope we get lucky in this door. Come on, always lucky. Ah, dodge, nice. As we get to the higher level dungeons, what the theme is going to be, there's a door after every 2 packs. And you have to kill the packs to open the door, for the most part. There's some exceptions. They didn't really codify that solidly until the later expansions. So you'll see me ignoring some packs in the later dungeons, but each dungeon has some scripting to it for certain things for the most part. So you just got to learn what you need to do in this dungeon, what you can skip, when you can keep going, when you need to go fast. And it makes, even though this is a lot of just really fast dungeons, it makes the gameplay diverse and fun. I like it. And speaking of which, this is one of the ones that was just revamped significantly for the better. It is about 2.5 minutes faster than before they changed it. But it is one of these ones where I have to kill every monster on the way, or else these webs don't open up. So instead of using Raiton and getting the Raiju, I'm using Doton, or no, not Doton, Katan. It's a fire AoE. And what I will usually do is try to run past the group so they kind of gather up a little bit. And then while they're chasing me, I'll Katan behind myself so it hits them all. And then I can get my dash reset, kill them all in one. I forgot to cancel Kasatsu there. That's one of the things I was talking about earlier, where when I use Kasatsu, it changes the spells. And for some reason, the modified Katan does not give you a dash back. So normally what you do is you'd Kasatsu, do the mudras, then you'd click off the buff so that you get regular Katan and you get your dash back. It's so stupid. Please fix. And these guys don't like to aggro. I try to run by so they chase me, and then like half the time they just don't.
It's actually been really interesting seeing people in chat a moment ago posting like their first MMOs. We saw stuff like Guild Wars, FF14, of course, was some people. Puzzle Pirates was brought up, EverQuest, Destiny 2, Lord of the Rings Online, which actually I know that was actually Argic's gateway. A friend of ours, Argic, got into MMOs through Lord of the Rings Online. And then
let's do it correctly this time. Click off Katan. Or Kasatsu. And then you get the charge back. Sorry, keep going. Argic was the gateway through Lord of the Rings Online.
Yep, and then he's told me this, like, he actually didn't get into FF14 until like about a year ago, like sometime last year, and he had been paying for a subscription for several years, being like, oh, I'll play it, and then never actually playing it, and then finally got dragged in, and now like he streams it like every Monday, which is kind of cool, with his guild, which is kind of cool. I know some folks who are into WoW, but like if y'all are interested in yeah, Argic's name came from his Lord of the Rings character. It was a combination of, like, he wanted Argix, but, like, because he was into, like, Cubics at the time. Cubics robots for everyone. And then he's like, nah, I don't really like how Argix sounds. So, like, they changed the X into a K, and then you have Argic. Like, no lie, that's how his name came about. Like, I know some folks who, like, whose usernames have stemmed from MMOs. Like really cool just to see. Like I know for me, MMOs was like some of my first earlier online interactions. Yeah, which is really
definitely
cool.
I see some people calling out Fliff in chat. I definitely played that game. Very underknown game, but it is one of the earliest MMOs that allowed you to have a flying mount. So just random little bit of trivia there. Definitely more influential than you would expect, given that nobody's ever heard of that game ever.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know what in the world Fliff is. It sounds like it'd be the name of a cute platformer.
It was short for Flying for Fun. I did not pick up the key.
Oh no. You need to obtain a tiny key.
Like FLY for fun, fly for fun was Fliff. Yeah, the servers on that are still up. It's just a completely different game now. But again, like I was firing shots at Amy earlier, it is not a modern MMO. It does not have modern MMO sensibilities. It's actually from that age when KMMOs were super popular.
Yeah.
And it very much is a KMMO with all of the usual hallmarks, including bad player shops that are impossible to navigate, like everything.
Someone saying, didn't know GDQ did MMOs too. Well, believe it or not, like if it can be speedrun, it is a valid run for a GDQ show as long as it fits the theme. And the theme of this show is Never Before Seen, which means, or rather the title of the show is Never Before Seen, and that means that we accept runs on this show that have either never been run at all, like games that have never been on the main stage for AGDQ, SGDQ, or GDQx, or a category. So like, let's say Final Fantasy XIV has been on like an AGDQ, but not this category, I would still accept that, right? So
this is one of the smallest changes they made to any dungeon. I opened that chest. They added this thing you can click on instead. Everybody used to have to use the return ability to get back to the dungeon, start of the dungeon. They added this one. Also, yes, people are complaining about fire ticks because I had to run past and stop to channel a door. So I dropped my Doton. And even though Doton slows enemies, it will only damage enemies approximately once every 3 seconds. So if you get unlucky, an enemy will run right through it. The tick will happen right before they get there. They'll get all the way through it, and the tick will happen after that of it, so it won't kill them. Because server ticks. So I do try to drop some strategic Dotons. It's not going to kill all of them, but what it will do is it'll thin them out, give me a better chance to roll that dodge. Because I'm level 90, these enemies are under level 50 currently. And one of the things that happens with level scaling in this game is you get massively increased dodge chance, you crit more often, that kind of stuff. So going for these high rolls of I'm just going to hope that I dodge is just a good play most of the time because the numbers are on your side. If the chances were lower, then I might play it more safe and AoE the enemies more frequently. Sorry. That's interrupted something you were saying. I just rabbited because I messed up my inputs. When you do any of your ninjutsus wrong, you get a rabbit on your head. So I had to zoom in and show it off. Put myself on blast a little bit.
That is all good. I actually just found out that that the first MMO I got super deep into, which was Eden Eternal, actually shut down in 2021, like last April. And it ran for like 10 years because I remember getting into it with the closed beta in 2011, and now I'm just like, wow. Like, that's just like, has anyone else like played an MMO to the point where like the servers eventually shut down? Because this is like the third MMO I've played where the servers have completely shut down.
So yeah, Dark Age of Camelot shut down, but I was not playing it anymore because they ruined it. That's why it shut down. They made some bad decisions, and the players gave them feedback on the bad decisions. And then they released a new expansion that doubled down on the bad decisions, so then everybody stopped playing it. It's just how it goes. The other issue was that Dark Age of Camelot is actually the game that killed EverQuest. People like to talk about which game killed what other major MMO. Dark Age of Camelot killed EverQuest, and then since they didn't make the changes the player wanted, World of Warcraft came out right about that time. So they did not like the changes, the devs didn't listen, and everybody just left and played Warcraft instead.
And I want to know, we're having a moment where I'm like now looking up like MMOs like that I last heard was like still online. So now I'm curious if Dofus is still up and running, and it looks like it is. Holy buckets.
There's a lot of old MMOs that are still running with just like one server, you know?
Yeah.
It's not big, there's not a huge player base, but they just run a single server. It doesn't take a lot of manpower to keep going, so they just keep it going. There's dedicated people who still give them some revenue. So if you have a MMO you're fond of, the chances are it exists somewhere.
It's actually really cool, like, when I get to see, like, certain MMOs that are still up and then others that are not. Yeah, people are talking about Ragnarok Online. I knew some folks who were actually really deep into RO. Adventure Quest, oh my god. The only reason I know about Adventure Quest is because Aurelio Voltaire, which is a goth cabaret musician that I really like, used to appear every Halloween or every October for a special event in EverQuest form. Or not EverQuest, Adventure Quest form.
Alright, so this is gonna be the first dungeon where I blow some people's minds. There is stuff in this dungeon that is optional that nobody realizes is optional. This is the first super annoying part. You gotta kill these on the pad. If you don't kill them on the pad, the door doesn't open. But we're gonna use these guys to get our charges back. And you'll notice we didn't pick up any of the stuff. There's these items that you're supposed to pick up and then you put them on scales later on. That's an entirely optional mechanic. You can fail it. It's fine. You can complete the dungeon without doing it. So that's what we're gonna do. Also, this boss, you're not supposed to fight him like this. He has a big vulnerability down buff. You're supposed to kill his soul stone, which makes him vulnerable, but that's slow. And we're level 90. So just kill him instead. It's actually pretty funny that people don't realize you can do this because it saves a huge amount of time, and the community in general for this game is kind of obsessed with speedruns. They try to go as fast as they can when they get dungeons in. Please stand on the pad. When they get dungeons in the duty roulette. You did not how were you not on the pad? Oh my god. You remember how I said these guys are annoying? This kind of stuff is why. Because they have to be on the pad, but enemies push each other around a little bit. So you have to get them on the pad and hope the other enemies don't push them off. But like I was saying, doing this mechanic just wastes a bunch of time. But people do it mostly because it rewards a chest, but the chests in this dungeon don't really reward anything. So you just don't have to do it. Also, most of my health disappeared because I failed to kill a bee and it final stinged me from across the dungeon. So for people who are wondering, oh my god, you're level 90, you're about to die. No, just that's final sting. Don't worry about it.
Everything's fine.
You'll notice earlier on I was specifically targeting the bees just so there wouldn't be many, there wouldn't be more than one bee left if I did miss one of them. Because if I took 2 final stings, yes, I'd die. It's percentage HP damage. It's one of the only things that can kill me during this run. Did I grab it? Yes, I did. Okay. I was like, I think I pressed the wrong button. I'm not sure. Sometimes playing Ninja, you feel like you made a mistake, and then you hit the ninjutsu button, and it goes off correctly anyway. So you get that little bit of doubt. Over here. Wait, what are them? What's going on? Oh, it's right here. I'm blind. Okay. Sorry about that.
You're fine.
Yes, people are calling out in chat. Before the changes, if you were doing the leaderboard category where you cannot skip Praetorian, the legitimate speedrun strat was to change your audio language. Because certain voice-acted dialogues are just faster. I'm just not doing Praetorian because this is a showcase, and I don't like doing Praetorian, so we're just not going to do it. Also, you wouldn't want to watch it. It's just 20 minutes of cutscenes. We can do more
5 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah, it's even less now after the changes.
Yeah, so some folks are like also asking like, you know, why not do a fresh character speedrun? It's like, well, for a showcase that wouldn't really work. It would be way too long for this sort of showcase.
People run it.
But people do run it.
If you really want to see it, go look it up. It exists. But I'm not doing it.
But yeah, like it's important to like it's important to speedrun things that you like, that you find fun to speedrun, even if they're not necessarily conventional categories. So even if that is removing a part of a run that like doesn't really matter a whole lot in terms of like it's kind of inconsequential, or in this case it's just a ton of cutscenes and kind of like breaks the pace of the run. Or like another example I can give that I know a little bit more about is like Sonic 1 8-bit. There is a like a category for that, like the completionist category includes collecting all Chaos Emeralds, getting perfect bonus level scores, and never dying in the run. And that category is not fun, but you can still do all Chaos Emeralds and still get like good ending or something like that. So like they're considering, like there's a couple of people considering just doing runs of all Chaos Emeralds in that game rather than the other completionist category that just exists.
So I just did a fun mistake. So the dash mechanic sometimes will kind of carry you around corners. So you got to understand the geometry of the dungeons. There's some instances where you can dash over a gap and it'll just sort of nudge you around the gap. And I tried to do it there and I just went straight into the wall. But yeah, you were talking about the all emeralds.
Yeah, no, it's just like it was a similar thing of like, let's just remove like or do like this category that's like basically completionist but diet completionist because it's more fun to run, right?
Yeah.
And that goes like that. Sometimes there's like, I know that Tunic, which is a more recent indie game, also has recently added the all relics, no major skips run, just because like the NE% and the 100% and the new game plus runs are all extremely skip heavy. And some of the people in the community wanted a version of the run that was a little more consistent and also showed more of the game. Like what you would expect out of a typical playthrough, but like was still fast and fun. So like, it doesn't matter if it's like super skip heavy or if it is like, you know, a new game plus category. This is basically a new game plus all dungeons, like IL category.
Pretty much, yeah.
And
new game plus is a good way to describe it.
Yeah. Like being level 90 with like really good gear or whatever, or being high level with really good gear and then doing solo dungeons. You'd think that, oh, this is just extremely easy. And it's like, well, there's still optimizations and good movement needed here. And you do still need to pay attention to what you're doing. So like the skill level in it is like found in different aspects of the run, right? Rather than trying to do like a fresh character playthrough or something. Or like not playthrough, but like a fresh character speedrun where the skill ceiling or skills necessary are a different skill set or like a similar skill set, but more intense in certain aspects. But like also I've played enough of A Realm Reborn to know that I personally wouldn't want to run like a category like that where it's fresh character, because a lot of it's just kind of going from place to place and doing fetch quests, occasionally killing a few things here and there, and then like doing some dungeons here and there. But like something like this is more like my jam, where I can do basically a series of ILs.
Barely got it.
Nice.
Fine. Easy every time.
It's okay.
So people are asking about the class choice in chat. Ninja is really, really good, but high APM intensive. More consistent, but not always as fast, is Blue Mage. It also suffers from the fact that its max level is still level 70 at the moment. Once it gets level 80, it will probably gain more things that make it better. But I don't like Blue Mage, so I just don't have it unlocked. And I do like the playstyle of Ninja, so I'm playing Ninja. That's the most important thing. But there's also the issue that they did get this new level skill at level 90, which is the lightning dash that I'm using constantly, 4th Raiju. Added a lot of speed. I'm pretty sure it makes at the top end Ninja faster than Blue Mage. Blue Mage was faster last expansion, I'm pretty sure. May have still been Ninja by a small amount. I really only do this casually. My sum of bests are at a point where I could take the world record for this category if I did Praetorian, but I just don't really grind speedruns that often, so I don't wanna. That's really it for my justification.
Yeah, like it's completely valid to just get a time that you're happy with relative to yourself rather than relative to the leaderboards, and, you know, move on to another category or move on to another game.
And I gotta briefly complain, because this dungeon is one of the ones that received some changes to modernize it, streamline it a little bit, and they did not take out these stupid towers you gotta stand in for 10 seconds to unlock things. Like, if you're gonna streamline this dungeon, please just remove those. Nobody likes them. So what I just did there, this boss is invulnerable right now, but I can use a charge of my ninjutsu because it gives me my dash back, and then since it's invulnerable, it doesn't put me in combat, and then I can hide to get my charge of ninjutsu back. So that means that after this boss fight, I just have 2 dashes and full ninjutsus. So just sort of stocking up on my resources there, using the boss that's invulnerable right now. So just a nice little neat trick.
And someone asked a question about, like, is Blue Mage on its own leaderboard, or like are they all kind of lumped together and like it's like a variable, or
they're mostly split into whether you're doing single player, like by yourself, unsynced, or if you're doing synced with other players. So like Blue Mage is on the same leaderboard as Ninja. It's just personal preference. They have upsides and downsides. You choose the one you want to run.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is where we're going to use the interact button. So if you're not on controller, you can bind interact to a keyboard button, and it lets you, in some instances where you'd have to interact with something and get interrupted by enemies attacking you, you can spam it really fast and still manage to get through it. So I had to use that Magitech transporter to advance to the next area, and you will notice there were about 10 enemies trying to eat my face. Normally that would not work, but if you bind your interact button to something on your keyboard that you can spam really quickly, you could most of the time get through it. Every once in a while they'll still get lucky and interrupt you though. So now we just get to stand here. Hopefully these skeletons come close enough that I can recharge my cooldowns on them. Normally they're closer. I don't know if this is a global cycle or if it's luck based. Most of the time they're at a distance where I can right on both of them, then hide, reset. We still got them both. Oh, I auto-attacked the one on accident. Oops. Plus a rabbit, just because it's fun. Because rabbiting isn't just messing up the inputs for your ninja magic. I forgot to cancel Kasatsu again. It's also, if you press any other button, which includes your dash, then it'll make you rabbit. So I dashed afterwards, and my Raiton didn't go off, so I got a rabbit. And I could have just let it time out, but it's fun to rabbit. You get a cute little bunny on your head. If it's 4-party, what's the fastest combination of classes? So if you're playing synced, that's a whole question. Usually it's a warrior as a tank because they have the most self-healing out of all the tanks. And then from that point, you kind of flex depending on party preference and even which dungeon. Last expansion, the meta was double black mage with a red mage, just for tons of damage. The red mage can flex a little bit of healing to help keep the warrior up, that kind of thing. This expansion, it's been more flexible. Some of the dungeons, a warrior can keep themselves up entirely by themselves. So you just have like 3 DPS. In some dungeons with the summoner changes, actually, the summoner heal that Phoenix got is extremely powerful. So we were messing around with some friends on the like trying to speed run synced dungeons, and we found out that if Amy, who is our warrior, Amerlin in chat, hosts aimbot, check it out every other Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern. If he pops his cooldowns on one double pull, and then I Phoenix and hit the Phoenix heal button on him, the other pull, that's pretty much enough to keep him alive, which is shocking. Just like only the Phoenix heal on a double pull. So we might mess around with that a little bit more, because we think that the Warrior Phoenix or the Warrior Summoner combo is really, really good. Has some potential. Which is hilarious because the Summoner healing is a meme in the community. It has never been good for reasons that are too complex to get into, but after the changes, the Phoenix heal is actually good.
Speaking of, you were plugging Amerlin's show. You host a show here on Hotfix, don't you?
Yes.
It's like, I'm shocked you plugged Amerlin's show before plugging your own. And also, like, shame on me for never asking you. Why don't you tell people, and, you know, go ahead and plug yourself. Why don't you tell people what the Community Spotlight's all about?
So the Community Spotlight is sort of a variety speedrunning show. Most of the shows these days have a theme, but I started my show back when Hotfix had 3 shows total. So that was the theme. It was just variety speedrunning. We have, as a channel, have grown into more specialized content, but we're, you know, if it's a speedrun, I like to focus particularly on things that have a hard time getting into marathons on my show. So I do sort of lean into, hey, do you have a run that's just for whatever reason difficult to get into marathons? It's a little bit different from Amber's show because for a long time I was the only show on Mondays. Gotta sneeze. Oh God, and then I didn't sneeze. Oh,
That's the worst.
I hate it. Oh, okay. So for a while I had the whole night to myself. So we do like 5-hour speed runs, that kind of stuff, that I just did not pick up the lantern oil. I knew I needed to pick up the lantern oil. So for a while we kind of did some of the longer runs, or, you know, categories that are just, for whatever reason, need a little bit more introduction or explanations, or for tech reasons are hard to get in marathons. But now we're just sort of the variety speedrunning show every other Monday starting 10 p.m. Eastern after No Category Left Behind, which is funny because it's the show about category extensions, which are also speedruns you don't see very often. So I'm after another show that sort of is similar to what my show used to be, which is a little bit fun.
Yeah, like, and that's hosted by Nukes, right?
Yeah, she
I'm not
changed her
conflating
name
hosts.
recently.
Yeah,
so
to
she's
Nuclear.
now Nuclear instead of Nuclear Reaction, and she did change the spelling of nuclear.
Yeah, it's no longer ending in LAR, it's LER.
Yeah. Right. Y'all need to group up here. Sometimes they just don't want to aggro. Okay, and this guy didn't die, and I didn't dodge. That was like the trifecta. They didn't aggro. One of them didn't get hit. So I went for it anyway, and then I didn't dodge. So what I like to do here is these giant tonberries like to chase you. I have to kill both of the small tonberries that are chasing me right now because I need their lantern oil. So I just pull them away from the giant ones so I can pick up their items without having the giant one trying to stab me. Look at the giant tonberry. Oh, he waddles around and he got that big knife. It looks like it should be a one-shot, but it isn't. It just does like 1k damage. And if you look at my health bar, I've got 222,000, so I'll be fine. But it will interrupt you, and you're usually not going to dodge it, I guess, because like they're not targetable. It's not like a leveled enemy. It's like more of a scripted attack.
So I'm looking at your entire like screen because I noticed you have your splits up. Did your live split do the thing?
No, I forgot to start it. I included my live split on the production overlay that you all will never see, just in case I wanted splits on my local recording, and then I just forgot to press the button.
I've done that so many times.
That's just the world we're in right now.
Yep. So it's like, well, we'll figure out what the time is in some amount of time from now.
It's timed in real time, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's just nice to have splits.
Yeah. Basically,
there's
keep track
a
of how you're
Tonberry
doing.
PNG tuber in chat. Yo, that's so cute.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, like PNG tubing is really awesome. If you haven't noticed, Railcoon is doing that right now through a service that lets you set avatars, and like it connects to like a Discord call you're in. You can do that with your friends. That's how I actually collab with a lot of my friends who aren't natively VTubers.
All right,
for those
so we get.
Oh, go ahead.
The only 2 cutscenes in the run. They completely revamped this dungeon, so we get this intro cutscene. I can't skip it here. This scene cannot be skipped. There we go. And then this dungeon has been completely overhauled. Probably the biggest change out of any of the dungeons you're going to see today. And words are hard. And then there's one cutscene at the end that still exists. How did you evade that? You stupid butt. Did you really survive that? Okay, this is already going off the rails. It's fine. Normally, my ninjutsu and everything would be different, so I have like a whole rotation on getting through here. I messed up because I'm talking. It's fine.
It's all right. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, we do also really enjoy having VTubers on. I like having VTubers on my show, at least, or even PNG tubers. I've had Kyo's Little Monster on. I myself am a VTuber, and I appear at the beginning of all of the shows now. All of my shows, not all of these shows, because that'd be kind of impressive. And we also have Fant, who hosts Game Masters, and she is also a VTuber, but she's a 2D VTuber using Live 2D, and I use Vroid, which is 3D. So
she's also a girl. That's recent. Happy about it. So
yeah.
I've known Fant for like 8 years, so
yeah,
I'm very happy. Probably longer than that at this point. Just happy that Fant's happy, you know?
Exactly.
Big supportive friend energy. How did you not get hit by that? I've never seen that one survive before.
Yeah, but yeah, it's actually really easy to get into VTubing, even through PNG tubing or Vroid. So, like, seriously, all Ray has here is just a art of their avatar. They don't have like extensive, like, you know, open mouth, closed mouth, or blinking or anything like that, but they have it in a Fujitech service or reactive.fujitech or whatever it is website, and they're just in a Discord call, and you know, it changes, it dims and bounces their image and stuff like that, and it's really cool.
Okay, so this is like the only spoiler in the run, so if you've not completed level 50 story stuff, look away for this part. A character that you may or may not have met yet is going to yell at us a little bit because she's angry that we're trying to take her man. No, I'm not even exaggerating. She literally says that during the dialogue. And then we beat her up and we move on. But after this dungeon, we're roughly about halfway through. So if we are going to take a break, we can do it here after this dungeon. Just let me know.
I am okay because I did get water when we were between games. But if you want to take a break, that is totally cool because this is a longer run.
Yeah.
Huh?
I said I'm stocked, so if we don't need to take a break, we can just keep rolling. We're hanging out.
Yeah, because like I originally expected to need a break, and then I managed to grab some water otherwise. So
okay. Praetorium was also massively changed, but there's still most of the cutscenes. They removed a bunch of the small cutscenes that don't mean anything, like stuff that doesn't affect the story. They streamlined the layout of the dungeon. They made a lot of really cool changes. They murdered speedrunning in the main scenario roulette, which thank God so many people have had their casual experience ruined by people who refuse to slow down. I'm a big fan of the changes that they put in the Praetorium. It's the boss fights have all been massively revamped. They don't die in 3 seconds anymore. They have real mechanics. The changes to main scenario roulette are actually amazing. It's just, in this context of unsynced speedrunning, Praetorium's terrible, so we're just skipping it. Whoa, she didn't get one shot. Usually she gets one shot. I guess I've just crit on her a lot. All right, so now we're going to scroll all the way down because we're in the middle and it's easier, like menuing wise. Just go to the bottom and start scrolling up again. This legitimately saves about 30 seconds probably total throughout the run. And this is actually the point where like being level 90, having gear saves a few seconds. Because a lot of the stuff in here previously did not get one shot and now it does. So this is faster than it was last expansion, even if you're not going ninja and using the new forked Raiju. Which is kind of nice, like you could still do this if you're level 80 or not level all the way to level 90. It's just these dungeons in particular would just take you a little bit longer, like 10-15 seconds per dungeon, because each boss will take an extra hit or two, you know? But you can still get into it, you can still do these speed runs, compare against your own times, try to go faster.
Someone also said, rip cooking dinner in the middle of a dungeon, though.
Yeah. One of the longer cutscenes in Praetorium is still there. You still have Nero's daddy issues. That's my spoiler-free way of describing it. And you still have another character that I will not name trying to convince us to be fascists with him. So both of those really long cutscenes are still in there. But they just, you know, streamline the dungeon.
Also, just for anyone who is just joining, this is for those who are wondering what is going on, how are you level 90 and we're like 50 minutes in, this is basically New Game Plus.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
This part, I'm actually going to waste a few seconds because I went too fast. This boss needs to be one shot. I crit, so it's fine. But if I do not crit on that, I need to have Dream with him and a Dream up to kill him. If he does not get one shot, he wastes about 30 seconds. So it's one of those instances where if Dream Within a Dream is on like a 2-second cooldown, I just wait. Okay, tick, tick, tick. Nice. I put down the Doton there because if the server takes line up right, it will save me on GCD. That's literally it. And we got lucky. The other nice thing is that since I crit the previous boss, I will have all of my cooldowns up for this one, who's another boss that needs to be one shot. Because if you don't kill him before the time he finishes centering himself there in the center of the arena, he will also go invulnerable. So this dungeon has 2 bosses you need to absolutely make sure that you one shot, which in most instances just means that you line up some off globals. Make sure you hit them with a good GCD global cooldown. I should explain that because I've been mentioning that without explaining it. If you're not a 14 player, this MMO functions a little bit differently than what you're used to seeing, in that the global cooldown of when you use an ability and it puts everything on like a couple second timer is much longer than what is standard in other MMOs. But they give you way more abilities that you can use in between those global cooldowns. So 14 is more about trying to weave your abilities successfully in between your global cooldowns than fast pace of combat like in World of Warcraft. So if you hear me talk about globals or off globals, that is why. Because the way that this game is designed, two very different ways that the abilities behave is the short version.
So like, I'll actually ask you this question when you're done.
I was gonna say, this is one of the bosses that just has a lot of health for no reason. I have never one-shot that boss for whatever reason. He just had a ton of health. I don't know. Well, what were you gonna ask me?
So this is obviously, for some people, this is their first and only Final Fantasy game. Did you ever play any of the series prior to FF14?
Yes. I played the Final Fantasy, the PlayStation Final Fantasies growing up. We never had a Nintendo. I am old enough that we could have had one, but parents just didn't let us have one. So 7 was my first one. Went back and played some of the earlier ones, but I have some hot takes because I didn't grow up with them. We can maybe start some arguments with that later. But I don't think we're at that point in the broadcast yet.
Yeah, I also just noticed someone got hit for using the abbreviation for Black Mage, which is BLM.
Really?
It's okay.
Yeah, so like you can type BLM in chat, but there's a couple filters of words alongside BLM that it thinks you're disparaging, so just be careful about it.
Yeah, just be aware that there are filters, just and there's some unfortunate abbreviations in this game for some classes. But to answer the question that we're getting in chat, why not Praetorium? 20.
I don't like it.
Yeah. Ray doesn't like it. It's 20 minutes of cutscenes, and like it's just very, very obnoxiously long. So it's not really great for a showcase.
There's a lot of reasons for justifying it based on like this being a showcase and all this other stuff, but also just like I don't like it, and I don't chase after world records, so I don't subject myself to that pain. And especially if you're the type of person that's not chasing after world records and you just like to compare to your own PBs, just cut out the parts of the run that you don't like. Just as long as you're consistent about what you're doing to compare against your own runs, you're still speedrunning. That is my public service announcement for today.
So, Ray, I have a question for you. Are you a supervillain?
Am I a supervillain?
Old enough to have a Super Nintendo, but parents didn't let us have one, is my favorite supervillain origin story, is what someone has said.
I mean, I don't think I'm a supervillain, but how many supervillains think they're a supervillain?
That's a good question. And like, honestly, yeah. Also, the avatar that Ray is using is actually a fox.
Yeah.
I could see why someone would think it's a cat though, without seeing any tail. I can kind of see it.
It's also zoomed in a little bit for the purposes of the shape of the box that we have for webcams.
Yeah.
She got the floofy ears, and they got the darker tip on the top of them. And as for Wyatt Fox, I don't know. I like the way she looks.
Yeah.
That is my Fox character. I'm not just pulling one from the internet. It's just Pink Fox brings joy. So that's where she is.
Yeah.
Oh my god, these guys are way too large. So one of the quirks of this game, certain MMOs handle this different ways, but AoEs go off the center of the target that you're AoEing. Other games are more generous than that. This game is not. So these enemies are so large that sometimes you'll AoE them and they are too lorg, and it won't AoE the people that are standing directly next to them. One shot. Oh, we got both hits, but it didn't one shot. I didn't get crit on either.
Oh.
Unfortunate. So, interesting thing is that a lot of times when bosses leave the map and they become untargetable, you can't do damage to them. This boss is an exception. So I still hit Dream Within a Dream there because it does the damage even though the boss has left the map. Well, you'll notice that I didn't crit either, and if you look in the enemy list I have at the middle right side of my screen, it still had about 20% health remaining, which is just a little sad. Those are just the dice rolls. What's going on? My movement was being weird. It's fine.
Everything's under control.
Yes, everything is fine all the time. Except when it isn't, but we don't talk about those times. It's fine. I'm just being a little bit silly because we're just at that point in the speed run. So if I ramble, don't worry about it.
It is all good.
You're also at the point in the speed run where the scripting for a lot of the dungeons are completely different. Almost all these dungeons have these gates that you need to do different things to unlock. And you would expect it to be kill all the enemies in every instance, and that's just not true. So I'm trying to juggle a lot more information in my head, remember specific instances of what unlocks progression in this dungeon, which changes how I need to manage my resources. So there's just a lot going on. So I might go quiet or just start talking about nonsense because my brain is focusing on other things. Like this dungeon. Sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
This dungeon, for whatever reason, there's 2 packs here, but it only cares about the second one for unlocking these doorways.
Load-bearing enemy packs.
Yeah. So if you never knew that, the first pack does not matter. Only the second one. This group will group up properly. We can display it. Okay. So these 2... Oh, I missed one. Never mind. See, this one's still alive, but the thing is going off. There we go. What was the question? Somebody was asking a question that you were about to relay.
Mind you, I think most of this question could be answered by looking at speedrun.com, but maybe part of this can't. What other categories for Final Fantasy XIV speedrunning are there, or, are interesting?
So my opinion on what's interesting is going to be different from yours. So,
all subjective, yeah.
I prefer things that you may not prefer, but there are dungeon categories for almost every expansion. There's more in 2.0 than the other expansions because it had to level all the way to 50. There are New Game Plus categories where you go through and you do story, and New Game Plus is split into parts. So there's like Heaven's Ward Part 1, Heaven's Ward Part 2. There's a leveling category, which some people have done. I do not find that entertaining for me to do. If that is the type of thing you like to do, go for it. We're not judging, it's just I don't like it. Too much of a grind. So you can do this in a lot of different ways. There are synced dungeon speedruns, where instead of doing this New Game Plus kind of thing that I'm doing right now, you would group up with some friends and you do dungeons, either the current dungeons, or you would go in and you don't turn on undersized party and you try to go quickly with a full party. Those can be a lot of fun. You have to think about the game in a very different way for those.
Because and this might be like a silly question, but for anyone who isn't familiar with FF14 terminology, I assume that the difference between synced and unsynced is that unsynced, obviously, you can go solo and it doesn't sync up to your level.
So you don't sync down to its level.
You don't sync down to its level, whereas like synced, you do sync down to its level. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Which, is why you would want to play with multiple players, because, the game would not be, or the dungeon wouldn't be nearly as close to soloable as unsynced would be.
And the reason why that's important, the difference between you syncing down, is you actually lose abilities when you sync down.
Right, like things that you wouldn't have had at level, let's say, level 20, you lose all of that, right?
Yeah. I have to remember to pick up the stones in this dungeon. This is one of those dungeons where you got to pick up a thing and use them, and I can't tell you how many times I just left them behind on the ground. I knew that I need them. I'm thinking about it. I got briefly distracted by optimizing something, and then you just run right past it. It's amazingly easy to do, and it's probably easier with Ninja just because you're juggling more things in your head. This section is really important, by the way. Those enemies, if you do not kill the hands quickly, they will grab you and stun you for like 10 seconds. It's terrible. So you got to make sure you have off globals ready to hit both hands there, or you are not going to have a fun time. Interestingly enough, you can run past this group, but they drop an item you need in the next area. So you have to kill them and then wait, because sometimes this star sphere doesn't spawn immediately. And then you can progress forward. Otherwise, you wind up just stuck. And then there is this spawn, which just spawns when you run over the correct area. And sometimes that doesn't work properly. So then you gotta just kind of dance around and wait for them to spawn, because killing them is what opens the door. And this is what I mean by this speedrun is a lot of learning what the triggers in the dungeons are and how to manipulate them. I am trying to go fast and kill the enemies quickly, but also in many instances, I have to know what I need to do to progress to open these doorways.
And someone's asking what makes Ninja most optimal. It's like, it's not necessarily the most optimal class, but it is the class that Ray likes to play. I've heard Blue Mage mentioned a couple of times, but Ray doesn't enjoy the Blue Mage gameplay, so they just play Ninja.
I don't even have it unlocked.
Yeah,
my Blue Mage level is 0. It's not even so much that I wouldn't enjoy the gameplay, it's the unlocking everything in Blue Mage that I know that I wouldn't like. Because it is fair. The classic Final Fantasy Blue Mage, you learn abilities from enemies, and it can be a little bit grindy and doing things repeatedly until you get the random chance to unlock it. I'm not a fan, so I just haven't done it. The most common ones are probably Ninja, Blue Mage, Dancer. I've seen Red Mage runs. I'm pretty sure there's a Red Mage run at a Frame Fatales one year. You could really just do it with whatever class you want, especially if you're not going for the world records. Just play the class you like to play, you know? So this is an interesting dungeon in that the requirements for opening these doors is very unusual. It's not just kill all the enemies, so I will have enemies chasing me a little bit throughout this dungeon. I still want to keep recharging my Shikuchis, which are these dash. I know I never used the proper name for it, but that's Shikuchi. So people are asking questions in chat, and people keep talking about Shikuchi. If you've only been paying half attention, that's why. It's the name of this dash ability. But I try not to use the proper names, because especially with Ninja, it's all a bunch of like random foreign sounding names, and people are like, what's that? So I call it Ninja Magic and Shikuchi. It's just more friendly to casual listeners. Alright, big crabs, please AoE properly. Yeah. This is an interesting section because you actually have to kill all of these to progress, but they never stand close enough together to AoE them all effectively, and it was like 2 seconds off a ninjutsu charge, so I just stood there and waited. Sometimes, because they tend to wander around a little bit, sometimes they'll magically be standing just close enough to where you can get them all in an AoE, but it seems unpredictable. So now we've got this boss, which is interesting because it's multi-phase boss, you can't one-shot him, but you can like kind of phase skip. I'm gonna go for it. It's a little strange. So you want to knock him low health, and then you want to come over here and you want to Doton, because he's going to spawn enemies on both sides of the arena. Not these ones. And if you kill these enemies and one half of these enemies on the other side, there we go, like that. The door opens before you kill the other half. I don't know why. It just does. So I take advantage of it. And this guy, he's supposed to run ahead of you and just disappear from your sightline, but sometimes you can keep up with him if you get crits, but then he just disappears through this doorway. So there you go. In case you wondered how far that guy runs, he runs until that doorway and then disappears. Today you learned. All right. This gate opens briefly, Unfortunately, you cannot force your way through it when it opens. It is all an illusion. Oh, he stunned me. No, I messed it up. You can kill him before he stuns you. Oh, and I rabbited. Oh, boy. Okay, well. Everything is not coming up Railcoon right now. It's okay.
Oh, no. Instead, it's coming up Millhouse, which is not Railcoon.
Yes. I'm glad you got the reference. Crit? Crit? One shot? No. Okay. Very much not a one shot. Didn't even get a direct hit. Gosh dang it. I mean, I know the names of the abilities for Ninja. It's just, we're trying to keep this more digestible. Like, we go on fast. That's why we go on fast. And for people who don't play Ninja, nobody knows what these ability names are called. Just, I don't expect people to memorize the ability names of classes they do not play. So this is another interesting area. There's all these enemies here, but the important part for unlocking this door coming up is actually these wolves. So I'm going to drop a Doton here, try to get all the wolves in it. And that will make this bear spawn. And the bear is what unlocks the door. And if we're lucky, we can pick up this key without getting interrupted. Nice. And then we can get through that. We're also going to do another boss, a very incorrect. Not this one. This one's about what you would expect. But the next boss is another puzzle fight. You're supposed to do some nonsense with some snowballs, and it takes a while, and I just don't feel like doing that, so we're just not gonna. So we're level 90, and we can brute force it with damage. It is amazing how many of the fights people would expect to be terrible. I didn't kill... Do I have to kill both of these Gaboos? Really? Oh, wow, okay. So usually one of those Gaboos gets caught in my AoE, and that just opens. But apparently if both of them are alive, it doesn't open. This is what I'm talking about, like, weirdly specific requirements for opening these doors. Like, this Gaboo is actually what opens up that snow pile. Nothing else. So that's the boss. Has a ton of health. It took multiple GCDs to kill, but still way faster than doing it the proper way. And then we get a little bit of an auto-scroller here. So, how you doing, Amber?
I'm doing okay. I'm just answering some questions. Like, someone's asking, like, what's unique about this run? Like, I see that they have a ton of HP, and I'm just like, yeah, this is a New Game Plus style kind of run rather than fresh character. It's just, you know, reiterating the things that we've discussed, but for anyone who's coming in, rather than doing a fresh character from, you know, level 1 and so on and so forth, it's kind of more of a, I'd call it New Game Plus sort of style of IL dungeon runs. Like, you know, you run the dungeon solo in an unsynced instance where, you know, your level does not go down to the dungeon's recommended level and so on and so forth. But it's more, from what I've been understanding watching this run and listening to you, you know, commentate for your own run, which you've done great at, actually, is like, it's a lot more like movement based and being able to optimize, you know, what you need to do to progress.
Yeah, there's a lot of little fiddly things going on with Ninja. So, like, I'm mostly managing my charges of my ninja magic, as we've been jokingly calling it this entire time, because it lets me recharge my dash. But my dash recharges on its own over time. So on a good run, where I'm not distracting myself trying to entertain chat, we're paying a lot of attention to our Shikuchi timer, because there's some instances where I want to stockpile as many dashes as I can, just because there's a long hallway with no enemies in it. But if your cooldown is about to end naturally, you notice that, and then just only use one, because you're about to get the second anyway. And then you don't use the extra charge of your ninjutsu, so then you get more dashes overall. Because the big thing that I'm doing with the hide resets to give myself more ninjutsu over the course of this run. Hide has about a 30-second cooldown, 20 seconds. Sorry about that. So you can't do it too frequently. So especially in some of these dungeons where you're going very fast, you gotta make sure that you're spacing out your abilities properly, and then you're using them all just in time to hide, to use them all again, just in time to hide again. So there's a lot of moving parts, and I enjoy speedruns like this with a lot of moving parts. It's never quite the same as the last run, that sort of deal.
Yeah, it's like a lot of monitoring moving parts from what I understand. And like that's actually kind of cool. I feel like a run like this is a lot of mental gymnastics that are a bit different from if you were doing like synced dungeon runs with some friends, or even just like doing a fresh character start, stuff like that. So like there's two different types of things managing, you know, that you have to manage that kind of go on and makes both styles of runs kind of unique from one another, and that's cool. It's also a matter of what do you prefer to run, and if this is the style you prefer to run in, that's completely valid. You should run it. I know that Ray and myself are both like big advocates for like if a category that you would like to run doesn't exist, you should run it.
Yeah. Run the game how you have fun running the game.
Yeah, a lot of people worry about what's on the leaderboards or what's in the case of like, you know, what class do you want to play? People would worry about what's the fastest class possible when it's in reality, it's like, why not just try to push the class you like to play?
Okay, so this is the worst fight in the speedrun. I apologize to the ninja mains. I am not a ninja main. I kind of waited till last minute to de-rust this. So my ninja rotation is not going to be correct. I'm sorry, you're just going to have to deal with it. I already messed it up horribly. It's fine. I used to play ninja. It's been a long time. I mess it up all the time just because my current muscle memory is other classes. I apologize. That was worse than usual, though. This enemy just has a ton of health, and he likes to go untargetable. You're supposed to use these cannons. It's kind of an auto-scroller fight. But since we're level 90, we can kind of brute force it. This is one of the few dungeons where Blue Mage is objectively the fastest. They can kind of two-shot this fight with some shenanigans using monster abilities. But I just don't enjoy Blue Mage, so I don't have it unlocked. If I cared a lot about being super optimal, I would unlock it just for this dungeon. I just haven't done that.
Yeah, someone is covering in chat as well. Like, for anyone who is not familiar with the game, there are these 4 cannons in the corners. You normally use those to fight the boss. Ray isn't giving a flying heck and is just kind of brute forcing the health of the boss because they're level 90, so they're 40 levels higher than this boss.
Ah, he went invulnerable right as I tried to kill him. Oh. And that's honestly my fault because I misinput. I tried to Raiton. I think I used a Fuma Shuriken instead. So I didn't get the follow-up, which is this... what is this hot one? That's Fleeting Raiju. So I was missing a little bit of damage. I probably would have been able to beat that invuln cycle if I did not misinput. But it is just objectively the worst boss fight in this run. If I had more time to prepare because I lost track of when this show was, so still my fault, I would have de-rusted on the ninja rotation and done a little bit better there. But I wanted to focus more on getting the routing done well, checking out the changes of the dungeons because that literally just happened.
Yeah. Because like I asked you to be on the show like last month or something, and you offered me the run even before that.
I didn't pick up the key.
Oh,
I
no.
do that all the time with this key in particular. I don't know what it is about this key. I always forget this one. And the funny thing is, the last pack before the door is where the key drops in the normal version of this dungeon. This is the hard version. So it's the same place. I should remember it. I just forget all the time. I don't know. Remembering's hard.
working memory's hard. It's like you forgot what you were talking about like much earlier in the run, and then you were like, Amber, what was I talking about? Like, you're asking me to remember? Oh no.
The important part's we're having fun. This is not an optimal speed run, but we're having fun.
Oh yeah.
And if it bothers you that this is not an optimal speed run, maybe you should pick it up. Huh?
Yeah.
Try it yourself.
Pick it up, try it yourself, and get a better time. Why not?
So no shade at Lord Fluffy. Lord Fluffy's great. Puts a lot of time into this run. The world record that is up by Lord Fluffy is beatable. Especially using the ninja strats, because Lord Fluffy starts off with Blue Mage and then switches to, I think, Dancer in the later half.
I think it's Dancer, yeah.
Because just Blue Mage does not do enough damage to complete these hard mode dungeons quickly. It's just not effective. So he switches to another class. Ninja, if you play it really well, is faster than Blue Mage. I've tested it at least with my Sum of Bests first. His Sum of Bests on the early section of this run. Ninja is faster. You can see it as well on the IL leaderboard. It's just way more involved, and trying to string together a bunch of ninja dungeons in a row is harder. So I definitely get it. There's no shade. But if you really want to pick this up, you want to chase after that world record, it's doable.
Someone is asking, and this is actually a good question. Is there a speedrun Discord for this game?
I have no idea.
Cool. Check the speedrun.com page. Maybe it's there.
Maybe. I'm the type of person, I don't join a lot of speedrun Discords.
Yeah, same.
I'm in too many already. And I also speedrun way too many games. So, like, if I joined the Discords for my speedruns, my server limit would actually be full. So,
yep.
I don't know. Check out the SRC. It's probably posted there. I imagine there is one. I'm just not in it. Hopefully that got all of them. Ah, I missed one. It's fine. This is also the creepypasta dungeon of 2.0. It's super creepy. We're just going through it fast enough. You're not noticing most of it. It's fine. I guess we're going to use Catan on this boss because the first one didn't go off. It's fine. We got there. Oh, did somebody DM you the link?
No one DM'd me the link, but someone did say that they have the link if I'm looking for it. It's like, I am not looking to pick up the speedrun. I am not looking to pick up this game anytime soon until like they make it completely soloable. That's it. Yeah, the person who could speak up again.
It's coming.
Yeah, if the person who was asking if there was a speedrun Discord for this could speak up again to the person in chat. There you go.
I got Yasmin. Wah. I don't have a dash either. We get to do the slow run. Oh, it's terrible. I also didn't crit, so the boss didn't die. Oh, that was painful. It's fine. It's fine. We're through it. It's just funny because if you don't kill that section fast enough, you can get miasma'd, and then that happens. It's fun. Normally, I would have a dash there, so it wouldn't matter, but I did not manage my resources well enough. This trap right here is your number one enemy speedrunning. If you walk on it, it's going to snare you. Don't do it. There's another one right here. God, I can't tell you how many times I just was only paying half attention or thinking too much about something coming up. Oh, he stunned me. Oh, my. Okay, so let's talk about server versus client.
Oh no, here we go.
So this is a thing that happens on Ninja because you have to do these combos to use your abilities. And what happened was I started to use my ability and I hit Chi, and then I was about to hit 10. This is the only time I'm actually going to use the proper names of these. I got stunned right as I used Chi. So even though the animation went off on my screen, the stun happened at the same time, and the server decided that Chi did not go off. So once I used 10 after the stun released, it only thought it was 10 instead of Chi 10, so I got a Fuma Shuriken instead of a Catan. And this will happen all the time on Ninja, depending on your ping. to the point where sometimes you will see the wrong spell get cast.
Incredible.
Like if you katan fast enough and your ping is at just the right, if you Raiton fast enough and your ping is at just the right value at the moment, then you'll see a Fuma Shuriken go off and then it'll change and then a Raiton will go off immediately afterwards. Okay, we do have inventory space. If we get unlucky here, we need inventory space. So I need to open all these chests and find these stone tablets. Some of them are mimics, some of them have items in them, and it's random every time. You cannot just pick the same ones. So let's pray for some good RNG. Play for some good RNG. Sure, let's do that too. But yeah, that one's not server ticks, it's ping related. Same thing can happen if you play Ninja a lot and you try to Suiton really quick. You'll see a Raiton go off, but then you get the Suiton buff and they get really confused and you don't hit your trick attack as quick as you could. Because like, what the hell, I saw the wrong animation go off. And right here, none of them had a stone tablet. So like, you could play for optimal RNG and skip that section, go straight down here and hope they're both down here. But then if you do that and you don't get lucky, well, then you got to backtrack. So I'm not going to take that risk on a showcase, but if you want to grind out a good run, you could go for it. So you get both stone tablets here, then you skip like what, 30 seconds? Yeah, probably 30 seconds. I got to remember after this boss fight to preserve at least one Shukuchi charge. I think I'll be fine because we're getting one back right now naturally through the cooldown. And then we'll Raiton to get a second one back. All right, I actually turned off my auto attack so I could Raiton twice. And I need to not use the second Shukuchi here because using a dash while you're falling does some weird stuff. So we're going to spam it as fast as we can, and then we instantly hit the bottom of the fall once we go to the animation. So it actually cuts out some falling time, saves a few seconds there. And the range on abilities in this game is a sphere, so I can't just do that immediately. I do have to wait until I get close enough to the ground that it thinks that I can dash forward. How much of FFX IV can you play without paying all the way until level 60? No playtime restrictions. You can advance through the first 2 expansions. You just cannot do any social features while you're on free trial because people were using it for illicit activities. So you won't be able to send tells.
Which are whispers, right?
Yeah, whispers. You won't be able to use the mail. You can't join an FC. You can't trade with people.
And you can't use the player shops, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, I think you can use the player shops still. You can still interact with the market. So this boss is a little bit weird. People don't understand what the trigger is. 2 tentacles on each island. Then you wait for the 2 arms to spawn. Oh, I forgot. He has to do this first. You kill both arms, and then he dies. You just gotta wait for these to spawn here. You also can't PvP? Okay, I didn't know that one. No market board on free trial? Really? Okay. Yeah, so it just really restricts what you can do. You used to be able to do more in the free trial, but people were using it for like trading, real money trading and scams and stuff. So they just shut it all down. Ooh, excuse me. So this is an interesting area. I've been talking about the requirements for unlocking doors. As best as I can tell, this one is not killing specific enemies, but killing a certain number of these enemies. Let me get a drink more water. Just 1 second.
No worries, and I'll just catch people up on what this is for anyone who's coming in. This is a run that's, and I'll try to get this right. It's unsynced Realm Reborn dungeons. So there's solo instances, and Ray is playing Ninja at level 90, and we're doing all the dungeons or all the fungeons, as I keep typoing it, minus the final one in the run, which would be Praetorium, and that's largely because it is 95% cutscene.
It's not the final one. It's actually like exactly in the middle.
Oh, is it? Oh, I'll be danged.
So if you do that correctly, there's certain enemies you need to kill there to drop the key. You don't have to kill all of them. I didn't do it correctly because I was trying to drink some water. It's fine. Okay, we're good. This is an interesting area because the way to advance, you have to kill all these soldiers and the gliders. But they don't spawn until you kill a certain enemy. And then that unlocks this goblin over here, comes over and helps us out. So you have to kill the enemy, unlock them all, kill the 3 groups pretty quickly, and then you can move on.
Oh, so it's the final dungeon of A Realm Reborn's main game, so I wasn't really off there. Okay, cool.
Yeah, just not the final dungeon of Realm Reborn in terms of what we're doing today for category. Sorry.
Okay, that makes sense. I was like, I thought it was the last dungeon of the story, and it's like of A Realm Reborn, but okay, cool.
Snowcloak, I think, is the last dungeon of the story for Realm Reborn, but that's a whole different. That's a whole different discussion. Because if you're thinking of getting into this game, you should know once you hit level 50 and you finish Praetorian, there's like another 15 hours of gameplay before you can get to Heaven's Ward. They have been trying to improve this over time. It is one of the main sticking points for people getting into this game, is that once you finish the level 50 story, it's just a slog to get to the expansion. This does not continue in the further expansions because they realize that it's unfun. People want to get to the new content. So all of the story stuff in the first Realm Reborn that is required are all side quests in further expansions. But when you're getting into it, it's going to take you a little bit to get past Realm Reborn. Some of the quests are a little bit slow. There's a lot of politics going on. It's not the most fun to begin with, so just don't try to rush through it. Take your time, don't burn yourself out. Once you get to the further expansions, you will enjoy yourself some more. But it's definitely one of those things some people do not like when the game is you gotta play for X hours to start having fun, and there is a little bit of that with this game. So just, there's a lot of hype around this game. I very much enjoy it. But if that is the type of thing that's going to be bothering you and get in the way of your enjoyment, you should be aware of it.
Yeah, that is a thing that actually prevents me from getting into the game, is just because A Realm Reborn is a drag for me, and I don't enjoy games that I have to play for like more than like an hour or two for me to really get a grasp on it and like start to enjoy myself. So like it's also a very, very overwhelming MMO at the start, and it's also why I can't really recommend like Phantasy Star Online 2, except that game is kind of like less of a drag at the very, very beginning, but it's just very, very menu heavy, like jargon kind of being thrown at you. But yeah. So like some people really enjoy Realm Reborn, other people like
yeah. Somebody in chat says they love those patches, but they enjoy political drama. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Like that's
sure,
the kind of like story that is good for folks like that, and that's honestly cool.
It just depends on what your tastes are. Some people are not going to enjoy it, and especially if you've got a lot of friends who are like, oh my god, this expansion's really cool, and you're just looking forward to getting to that expansion. It's going to take you a while to get there. So, full disclosure, I know it is probably the most frequent thing that stops people from getting into this game. So, I like to give people the full context so they don't walk into an experience and then feel like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be like this. But that's the nice thing about the free trial that everybody memes about, is that the free trial goes past that to the first expansion. So if you don't mind being restricted on social things like not being able to join FCs, which are the equivalent of guilds, and like being able to use tells, you can still join parties with people. They have to invite you. I don't know if you can use the friend request feature even. You just have to meet up with them in person. They invite you to the party. But you can get through that part and see if that is going to interfere with your enjoyment before you pay for the game, which is pretty nice. Thank you. I've seen a couple compliments on my Fox character. I really like it. This was more recent stuff. Got some more art coming in of her. I'll probably post it on Twitter when it happens. But I don't rush the artists that I commission, so sometimes it just takes a bit for it to pop up. And of course, why a Fox character? I like the way she looks. Why did this not open? What?
Yeah, I also haven't been plugging your Twitch very often, but I just realized
I don't stream.
You don't really stream. If you want to follow Railcoon more often, follow them on Twitter. That is not the right Twitter. It's the Railcoon.
That's not the part that opens. It's this one. Okay, we're fine.
Twitter.com/TheRailcoon. There we go. And then
somebody took Railcoon.
Yeah. Richard realized, like, wait a minute, I am wrong. Yeah. And then otherwise, if you want more Railcoon content, come watch their show every other Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern here on Hotfix, where they host the Community Spotlight. It is a variety speedrunning show, which used to be kind of like more what like Never Before Seen and No Category Left Behind have like kind of become.
Yeah, we're still kind of finding our space. So these days I've just been trying to highlight different stuff. Been trying to show off more women and minorities, just because I feel like they don't always get as much of a shake as they should. Got some people coming up. Should be a lot of fun. We're going to do some Mega May stuff coming up, though.
Yeah, and you've also like put me in touch with some of that stuff for May as well. But you like doing Mega May with the Battle Network community, right?
Yeah, so I did a Mega May with them. The first May that we were on, we did a Mega May. And I did some with like the classic Mega Man community, the Mega Man X community, and the Battle Network community, and it was a lot of fun. And then the people that I talked to in the other two communities didn't answer me the next year, but the Battle Network community was like, yeah, let's do it again. And they've just always been gung-ho about it, so I just kept it going with them.
And then they gave you a bunch of different runs this year, and you were like, I can't fit all those runs because I'm no longer doing like...
That damage.
It's like I'm no longer doing like, 5-6 hour shows or whatever every Monday. So like there are other shows that can take you though.
Yeah.
So mid-May, I've booked a Star Force 2 run. It is any percent no cards, I believe, that I have booked, which is going to be a lot of fun.
This is another unusual dungeon. This is well into the era where almost all of the dungeons had gates that required you to kill enemies. For some reason, all of the gates in this dungeon are attached to like one enemy, not an enemy pack. So whenever you see these mold colonies, you have to kill these mold colonies to advance, and the door opens. And the other gates are whatever pack is right in front of the gate. This one's really important. You have to stand in front of this Momora when you kill it. This can be trolly because it likes to move, and you will one-shot it. Because you have to get hit by that cone AoE to make this boss come down and attack you. Otherwise, you can't fight it. If you miss that, because it turns away right as you attack it, this has not happened before. I'm very much not upset about it. I don't know what you're talking about. No, it has happened many, many times. Then you have to wait for it to respawn. It takes like 20 seconds. It's terrible. Ooh, excuse me. I almost sneezed again.
Oh no.
Didn't happen again.
Which is also equally frustrating. Also, someone's like wondering like why the Railcoon and not Railcoon-et.
Railcoon-et?
EHT. So, for those of you, I might blow y'all's mind.
Right.
Yeah. Railcoon's name is literally nuclear backwards. And it took me so long to realize that. And when it was pointed out to me in, I want to say, a Mercy Kill episode? Maybe? No, it wasn't. It was it Tina's RPG show, I guess? I don't remember.
I can't tell you. It's been pointed out in so many hotfix shows.
Yeah, someone's pointed it out. I was watching, and then I was like, oh my god, how have I never noticed that?
And of course, Richard in chat making the same joke he always makes. Who would use backward names? Like, what the hell? That's for squares.
So the first time I actually got in touch with Richard or worked with Richard was Sonic and the Shiny Things a couple of years ago. And I had no idea how to say Oggendrocker. I just met them as Richard, and it was Author Blues actually was the one who hosted that event because I wasn't a showrunner yet, and Author Blues would do like one-off hosting. And at the end of the event, I was like really, really tired, and I was like, shout outs to Richard, I cannot say your username. And then Auth was like, Oggendrocker. And I was like, oh.
I just used the wrong ninjutsu. It's fine. I made a sound there because I was trying to pick up a key, and there's this thing in this game where you can interrupt cast bars as long as it's close to the end, and I misjudged it. I started moving early, and then it interrupted picking up the key. I tried to save half a second, but it did it wrong. That's it. That's my story. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
I appreciate. Isn't nuclear spelled Nukklear? And that's actually not how it's spelled, I think, now. What is the exact? Nukkleer. There we go.
It's the same way she changed the A at the end to E and then removed the underscore reaction.
Yeah, I had to remember exactly like how the spelling after U or the two Ks went, because I just remember it's like Nukk something 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 LER.
Oh,
and I was like, I don't remember.
Get some GDQ lamps in chat, because that lamp just ruined my day.
Yep.
These void lamps do ticking like AoE explosions. They're on an interval, and based on where the key dropped, I had to stand in the AoE to pick up the key. And with where everything was placed, my pace in front of the enemies, if I picked up the key before the AoE went off, I would not have had to stop and kill those other enemies. I would have been far enough ahead to open the door. But it went off and interrupted me, so then I had to stop and kill the enemies. So, Lamp is the MVP today. There's another huge direct crit. Oh my god. 102,000.
There's some lamps.
Yeah, I appreciate the lamps. Thanks, everybody. The person who types lamp because they're not a subscriber. You know what? I respect it. I appreciate your hustle. Unfortunately, opening this door is literally just kill everything. A lot of these dungeons have alternate things, so you don't have to kill all of them, but you just gotta wait there for a second. We only have a couple dungeons left, so thanks to everybody who's hanging out.
Oh my goodness. Is it really only a couple left?
Yeah, we got 3 more. This one, Ferris Keep, and Amdapor Keep. Or Ferris Sirius, sorry.
We are on pretty good pace as well. Let me see where we're at on the timer. La-da-da. Just
this
past
is not
the
a BB.
we just passed the 142 hour mark, or 142 hour mark. Yep, we've been here for 142
Oh,
hours.
no.
Holy buckets. 1 hour and
This is-
42 minute.
This is not going to be a PB. Just going to spoil that right now. I didn't start my splits. I hecked it up, but I'm relatively certain we're not PBing, but we're having fun. And that's the important part.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to take away from this, is people to take away from this. Like, if you want to get into speedrunning anything, even an MMO, you can do it. Play the games you want to play. If the category isn't quite fun, find a way to make it fun. Like removing the one dungeon that you don't like to do.
Exactly. Also, to answer the question, they are not queuing with NPCs. They are doing unsynced solo instances. So it's not a matter of
It's essentially New Game Plus.
yeah. Also, that username is basically like me trying to get my thoughts together. I love it.
So be very careful about these lamps. They will stop your progress,
GDQ lamp.
but you can get up the stairs around that corner. So, reasons. There's a reason I'm doing the 2.x dungeons reverse order. It is very slightly faster menuing. I go top down until I get about halfway there, and then I go bottom up because I have a free scroll mouse wheel. So I can quickly, if I collapse the other categories, scroll all the way to the bottom and then just scroll up a little bit. And it winds up saving just a little bit of time on menuing between dungeons. Biggie.
And also, yes, the updated Praetorium is still very little gameplay to cutscene ratio. So, like, cutscene very big, pace breaking, not fun. But also, like, Ray doesn't really like it.
Yeah. That's the important part. I don't want to do it.
It's like, I don't want to do it. I think it's bad for a showcase, so I won't do it. Like, speedrunning's a lot more flexible than people realize. Whether or not a category is on a leaderboard or not shouldn't matter. Whether or not... Ooh.
That was 208,000.
Holy buckets.
At this point, I could go, like, scroll down normally. Because the ones I'm selecting are roughly in the center of the list. So sometimes I will mess up the menuing.
Someone else is asking, did any of the changes to this dungeon change anything?
Which one?
Yeah, which dungeon? You'll have to be a little more
If you're
specific.
asking about Copper Bell, then Copper Bell Normal is changed, not Copper Bell Hard. But the Copper Bell Normal is about 2.5 minutes faster after the changes. It's amazing. Big approve of almost all the dungeon changes. Toto Rock, they added some gates, maybe a little bit annoying, but in return, they removed the entire Magitech photocell mechanic, and also they removed the second path, so now it's just linear. People don't get confused by there being two ways through the dungeon, which is probably a good call. It's a pretty early dungeon for a new player. Making it possible for them to get confused and lost is probably not the play. And unfortunately, this entire section is another one where we have to kill everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop that Doton and just hope it kills those two zombie sailors. Because I also dropped it on top of some other enemies that were spawning. Unfortunately, it looks like the sailors made it through. They did. Heck. So we're going to have to wait for them to catch up. Because this door will not open until they get here. So what I can do is drop that there. Run towards them a little bit. Why did these not stand up? What the heck? I guess I did not walk the extra pixel forward that I needed to. Sometimes when you're trying to carefully manipulate the triggers in these dungeons, you just miss them by a smidge. It happens. But after this dungeon, there's one more, and it's going to be relatively fast. It's actually the dungeon that was most speedrun in this game's history, period. And is the reason why they changed their dungeon design. Because people were not nice to other players while they were speedrunning it. Gotta make sure you one-shot this boss, so I use Kasatsu on it. Gotta make sure that's up. It has another boss that has an invulnerability period if you do not one-shot it. So here's a fun ability name for you, Amber.
Yeah.
With Kasatsu, and it turns that ability into Hyoshu Ranryu.
Wait. That one is just like kind of whooshed over my head. What?
You use an ability, but when it's under Kasatsu, the normal ice ability turns into Hyoshu Ranryu. And that's why we haven't been using the ability names.
Yeah, like, no, like, that's definitely why we don't use the ability names. Because, like, mind you, I am very minimally FF14 literate in terms of, like, understanding the terminology and everything like that. I know how MMOs work on a, you know,
it's
pretty
Hyosho.
alright level.
Heck, I got it wrong. It's Hyosho.
Oh.
Darn. Ranryu was correct, though. I will not be corrected on that part.
Yeah, Richard in chat, Gesundheit.
Alright, so this is the last dungeon. Once I kill the final boss, that will be time. Don't have to wait for the fade out or the, you know, leaving the dungeon like the other ones. But when this dungeon first came out, the developers for 14 were very naive, we'll put it that way. They failed to understand that players would be not nice to each other. So none of these doors were closed. And the meta for getting through this dungeon quickly, because what you had to do, get your tomes, the best gear that was available at the time, was to pull this entire section I'm doing right now. The tank would sprint. Nobody would press any buttons. The tank would gather everything up. You get to right in front of the boss. The tank runs in one direction, dies, and everybody runs in the other direction. And since nobody touched the boss, the mobs would all reset. And then you're right in front of the boss, the healer revives the tank, and then you kill the boss, and then you repeat. The issue was, at this point in the game, there was no penalty for abandoning the dungeon. So if a healer saw a tank who didn't have enough gear to do that, they would leave. If a tank saw DPS they didn't think were good enough to defeat the second boss, which is the major stopping point in this dungeon early on, they would leave. And the DPS waited in a 40-minute queue to get here. And they would never get a replacement. So, this dungeon and people speedrunning it is why every dungeon in the game now has doors that are affected by what you kill. They hotfixed this dungeon to make the doors that were here already, they just closed them. And then when you killed enemies, they'd open. Just to force people to stop doing that. And then they added in the abandonment penalty. They added in roulettes and other things. But it's just an amusing story to me because it is very much developers underestimating how much players will be not nice to each other. Yep, we're not doing Prey. This is a showcase. It's a lot of cutscenes. Don't want to do it. That's it.
Yeah, like the gameplay of Praetorium is fine. It's just the cutscenes are just like very intrusive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the new Prey is still like 20 minutes, even when you speedrun it though. So like, I get it's an improvement. I considered showing it anyway just to showcase the new dungeon. But the issue is that all the new shiny boss fights that have been super improved and are really cool are all going to die in 2 hits. So you won't see any of the mechanics. So at that point, it would just wind up us waiting on cutscenes for a while. Didn't think that'd be fun. So we're just not doing it.
But if you want to see the cutscenes and you want to have the memes, I am pretty sure someone has put that on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, yeah. This was such devastation. This was not my intent.
That explains that question I saw like an hour ago in chat.
Yeah, people have been memeing with the lines from that dungeon in chat the entire time. So if you've seen especially anything in all caps, here it comes time, by the way. Time.
G heckin' G.
If you see random quotes out of context, they're probably quoting Praetorian.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming at that point. But that was a 153.09. So get your GGs out for Railcoon. If you want to follow them, check them out over here at Games Done Quick for their every other Monday, their bi-weekly Monday show, the Community Spotlight. That is the best way to get more Railcoon in your life. They are hecking awesome. So if you really liked... Oh, go ahead.
I'll say again, for context, I was about 3 minutes off my personal best. So even with all of the distracting myself and making mistakes because we were talking, it was still a pretty decent run.
Yeah. So, like, if you, people are, like, pushing quotes at me, and I'm just like, I have no idea. Like, I have not played Praetorium. I have not played very far into A Realm Reborn because I find it very boring. But...
If you want to see more speedrun content, there is a Discord. I learned there's a Discord today. Thank you for the community members who are hanging out.
Yeah.
Lord Fluffy has the world record in this category that I just did with Praetorian. I just don't enjoy grinding for world records. I like to pick up games, learn them, play them a little bit, pick up something else. So if this interested you, if you want to see a different take, because Fluffy's strats are very different, you can go check out his run on speedrun.com. If you want to beat the world record, Fluffy's record is beatable. You'll have to put in some effort, but it's beatable. So it is there if you want to pick up the speed run, really put in some time into it. I'm sure the community would like to have new runners on board. But thanks for having me, Amber. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to have you on the show as well. Like, there are people who are like, yeah, I play PSO2, but I don't know how to meme with it. Like, honestly, same. Like, most people haven't watched the story. Most people skip the story cutscenes. I actually liked the story cutscenes, but I would not be able to remember any of them as quotable. That said, thank you so much, Ray, for being on the show again, and hopefully you end up doing your pick up and put things down habit again so that I can end up finding another game of yours to have on the show. It's always a good excuse to have you on the show. But I just want to remind everyone that if you enjoyed this, you should check us out over on YouTube. Maybe you missed this run. It's going to be on YouTube. You should go check that out. Usually we get our YouTube videos up within a couple of days of the run happening. So that is totally worth checking out. And if you are on YouTube watching this, come check us out over on our live channel at twitch.tv/gamesdonequick. And then meanwhile, Frame Fatales, we've mentioned this a couple of times in this run, the all-women speedrunning event series. It will be having its next event, Flame Fatales, in late August. I actually don't have my hand tracker on, so forgive me. But so our game and volunteer submissions open on May 9th for Flame Fatales in August. And go to gamesdonequick.com/Frame Fatales for more information on that. And tomorrow, because we have, we have shows basically every day of the month or every day of the week. We have the first step with J Hobbs and Kizaron. They're going speedrunning origami starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, and then following that we have Metroid Dread on Victory Lap. We had Metroid Dread randomizer yesterday on random number generation, and now we're going to be doing Victory Lap, which is kind of a show that is based around kind of analyzing PBs and world record videos with the runners who did them. So come check that out if you want to see an analysis of a PB, or I'm not sure if it was the world record or the PB of this runner, but come check that out anyways. That will be following the first step, which usually starts around 10 p.m. Eastern. So
yeah,
join us tomorrow. And your show
this Monday, starting at 10 p.m. Eastern, we're gonna have some Battle Network, which, if you're not familiar, it's an offshoot series of Mega Man that's like real-time strategy, like deck builder. It's really cool. A lot of people don't know it exists. And we're just doing Mega Man, so we're gonna have some Battle Network stuff on. If you've never seen it before, tune in. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I will be having, what is my next show, actually? Oh, yes, actually, that reminds me. My next show is also going to be Mega Man related as we go into Mega May. We're going to be having Star Force 2, any percent no cards. So, check that out next Wednesday, not next Wednesday, 2 weeks from now. So that would be Wednesday, the 18th, starting around 10 p.m. Eastern, roughly. Depends on when... it depends on when Mercy Kill ends, but you should also watch Mercy Kill. That was earlier tonight, starts at 7 p.m. Eastern, and that way, if you watch to the end of Mercy Kill, you won't miss the start of Never Before Seen. So, that being said, be kind to yourselves. We're going to go into a break screen while we get ourselves ready to send y'all over in a raid to some other folks doing some awesome speedrun or speedrun adjacent content. Send all the positivity their way and all the energy as well as we wrap up for tonight. So thank you all so much. Take care of yourselves and those around you, and we will see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m.